I want to see how, just as a way to sort of introduce ourselves for the thing is just to just before we get started, after my we'll just whoa, oh boy, that's me on YouTube sounding like an idiot. So anyways, so what I would like us to do is to give our name, and then the characters, or at least the major characters that you'll be playing, and then stop your video, and then we'll get started and come in as required. All right, good evening and welcome. My name is Paul Sugarman. This is the Instant Shakespeare Company, and we are doing a reading of the first part of Henry VI using the first folio. And I will be reading Suffolk and other roles.
I'm Jennifer Finger. I'm playing Henry VI.
I'm Derek Tarson. I'm playing Richard, Duke of York, Plantagenet, and Bastard of France, and a few other roles.
I'm
Mary Lou Gamon, and I'm playing Renier and Somerset, and also the Mayor of London.
Hello, I'm Brian White. I'm playing the Elder Talbot and Papal Legat.
Hi, Judy Chen. I'm playing Burgundy and the Countess.
Hi, I'm Maureen Sugarman. I'm playing Exeter and Margaret and a few others.
Hi, I'm Judy Kirshner. I'm playing Joan Pucelle, commonly known as Joan of Arc.
I'm Jacqueline Margolis, and I'm playing Edward Mortimer and Duke of Bedford and William Lucy and a shepherd.
And Wayne, I'm the Dauphin and Gloucester.
And I'm Modine, and I'm playing Winchester and Bassett and a couple other parts.
I am Mona, and I am playing the Servingman 3, the Messenger 3, the Warder 2, Allenson, and Vernon.
All right, and so now we will beginning with the first part of Henry VI. Actus primus, scena prima, Dead March. Enter the funeral of King Henry V, attended on by the Duke of Bedford, Regent of France, the Duke of Gloucester, Protector, the Duke of Exeter, Warwick, the Bishop of Winchester, and the Duke of Somerset.
Hung be ye heavens with black, yield day to night. Comments importing change of times and states. Brandish your crystal tresses in the sky, and with them scourge the bad revolting stars. They have consented unto Henry's death. King Henry V, too famous to live long. England near lost a king of so much worth.
England's ne'er had a king until his time. Virtue he had, deserving to command his brandished sworded blind men with his beams. His arms spread wider than a dragon's wings. His sparkling eyes replete with wrathful fire, more dazzled and drove back his enemies than midday sun, fierce spent against their faces. What should I say? His deeds exceed all speech. He ne'er lift up his hand, but conquered.
We mourn in black. Why mourn we not in blood? Henry is dead, and never shall revive. Upon a wooden coffin we attend, and death's dishonorable victory we with our stately presence glorify, like captives bound to a triumphant car. What? Shall we curse the planets of mishap? that plotted thus our glory's overthrow? Or shall we think the subtle-witted French, conjurers and sorcerers that, afraid of him, by magic verses have contrived his end?
He was a king, blessed of the King of Kings. Under the French, the dreadful judgment day so dreadful will not be, as was his sight. The battles of the Lord of hosts he fought. The church's prayers made him so prosperous.
The church, where is it? Had not churchmen prayed, his thread of life had not so soon decayed. None do you like, but an effeminate prince, whom like a schoolboy you may overawe.
Gloucester, whate'er we like, thou art protector, and lookest to command the prince and realm. Thy wife is proud, she holdeth thee in awe, more than God or religious churchman may.
Name not religion, for thou lovest the flesh, and ne'er throughout the year to church thou goest, except it be to pray against thy foes.
Seize these jars, and rest your mind in peace. Let's to the altar. Herald, wait on us. Instead of gold, we'll offer up our arms, since arms avail not, now that Henry's dead. Posterity await for wretched years, when at their mother's moistened eyes babies shall suck, while I be made a nourish of salt tears, and none but women left to weigh the dead. Henry the Fifth, thy ghost I invocate. Prosper this realm, keep it with civil broils, combat with adverse planets in the heavens. A far more glorious star thy soul will make than Julius Caesar all bright.
Enter a messenger.
My honorable lords, health to you all. Sad tidings bring I to you out of France, of loss, of slaughter and discomfiture. Guyenne, Champagne, Rheims, Orleans, Paris, Gisors, Poitiers are all quite lost.
What sayest thou, man, before dead Henry's corpse? Speak softly, or the loss of these great towns will make him burst his lead and rise from death.
Is Paris lost? Is Rouen yielded up? If Henry were recalled to life again, these news would cause him once more yield to the ghost.
How were they lost? What treachery was used?
No treachery, but want of men and money. Amongst the soldiers this is muttered, that here you maintain several factions, and whilst a field should be dispatched and fought, you are disputing of your generals. One would have lingering wars with little cost, another would fly swift but wanteth wings, a third thinks without expense at all, by guileful fair words peace may be obtained. Awake, awake, English nobility, let not sloth dim your honors new begot. Cropped are the flower de lis in your arms of English coat, one half is cut away.
Were our tears wanting to this funeral, these tidings would call forth her flowing tides.
Me they concern. Regent, I am of France. Give me my steel coat. I'll fight for France. Away with these disgraceful wailing robes. Wounds will I lend the French instead of eyes to weep their intermissive miseries.
Enter to them another messenger. My lords, view these letters full of bad mischance. France is revolted from the English quite, except some petty towns of no import. The Dauphin Charles is crowned king in Rheims. The bastard of Orleans with him is joined. Renaud, Duke of Anjou, doth take his part. The Duke of Alençon flieth to his side.
The Dauphin crowned king? All fly to him? Oh, whither shall we fly from this reproach?
We will not fly, but to our enemies' throats, Bedford. If thou be slack, I'll fight it out.
Gloucester, why doubtest thou of my forwardness? An army have I mustered in my thoughts, wherewith already France is overrun.
Enter another messenger. Mona, that's messenger 3?
Nope.
Okay. My gracious lords, to add to your laments, wherewith you now bedew King Henry's hearse, I must inform you of a dismal fight betwixt the stout Lord Talbot and the French.
What? Wherein Talbot overcame? It's so?
Oh no, wherein Lord Talbot was o'erthrown. The circumstance I'll tell you more at large. The 10th of August last, this dreadful lord, retiring from the siege of Orleans, having full scarce 6,000 in his troop by 23,000 of the French, was round encompassed and set upon. No leisure had he to enrank his men. He wanted pikes to set before his archers. Instead whereof, sharp stakes plucked out of hedges, they pitched in the ground confusedly, to keep the horsemen off from breaking in. More than 3 hours of flight continued, where valiant Talbot, above humane thought, enacted wonders with his sword and lance. Hundreds he sent to hell, and none durst stand him. Here, there, and everywhere enraged he slew. The French exclaimed, the devil was in arms. All the whole army stood agazed on him, his soldiers spying his undaunted spirit. A Talbot, cried out amain, and rushed into the bowels of the battle. Here had the conquest fully been sealed up, if Sir John Falstaff had not played the coward, he being in the wayward place behind, with purpose to relieve and follow them, cowardly fled, not having struck one stroke. Here grew the general racked and massacre, enclosed were they with their enemies. A base Wallen, to win the Dauphin's grace, thrust Talbot with a spear into the back, whom all France, with their chief assembled strength, durst not presume to look once in the face.
Talbot slain then, I will slay myself, for living idly here in companies, while such a worthy leader, wanting aid, unto his starved foemen is betrayed.
No, he lives, but is took a prisoner, and Lord Scales with him, and Lord Hungerford, most the rest slaughtered, or took likewise.
His ransom there is none but I shall pay. I'll hail the Dolphin headlong from his throne. His crown shall be the ransom of my friend. 4 of their lords I'll charge for one of ours. Farewell, my masters, to my task will I. Bonfires in France forthwith I am to make, to keep our great St. George's feast withal. 10,000 soldiers with me I will take, whose bloody deeds shall make all Europe quake.
So you had need for Orleans' besiege. The English army is grown weak and faint. The Earl of Salisbury craveth supply, and hardly keeps his men from mutiny, since they so few watch such a multitude.
Remember, lords, your oaths to Henry sworn, either to quell the Dolphin utterly, or bring him in obedience to your yoke.
I do remember it, and here take my leave to go about my preparation.
Exit
Off
Bedford.
to the tower with all the haste I can to view the artillery and munition, and then I will proclaim young Henry king.
Exit Gloucester.
To Eltham will I, where the young king is, being ordained his special governor, and for his safety there I'll best devise.
Each hath his place and function to attend. I am left out. For me nothing remains, but long I will not be Jack out of office. The king from Eltham I intend to send, and sit at chiefest stern of public weal.
Exit. Sound a flourish. Enter Charles, Alanson, and Regnier, marching with drums and soldiers.
Mars is true moving, even as in the heavens, so in the earth, to this day is not known. Late did he shine upon the English side. Now we are victors, upon us he smiles. What towns of any moment but we have? At pleasure here we lie near Orleans. Otherwhiles the famished English, like pale ghosts, faintly besiege us 1 hour in a month.
They want their porridge and their fat bull beeves. Either they must be dieted like mules and have their provender tied to their mouths, or piteous they will look like drowned mice.
Let us raise the siege. Why live we here idly here? Talbot is taken. Whom should we fear? Remaineth none but mad-brained Salisbury and he may well in fretting spend his gall. Nor men, nor money hath he to make war.
Sound alarm, we will rush on them. Now for the honour of the forlorn French. Him I forgive my death that killeth me when he sees me go back 1 foot or fly.
Exeunt. Hear alarum. They are beaten back by the English with great loss. Enter Charles, Alanson, and Regnier.
Ah, whoever saw the like? What men have I? Dogs, cowards, dastards? I would ne'er have fled, but that they left me midst my enemies.
Salisbury is a desperate homicide. He fighteth as one weary of life, and the other lords, like lions wanting food, do rush upon us in their angry prey.
Froissart, a countryman of ours, records England all Olivers and Rolands breed. During the time Edward III did reign, more truly now may this be verified. For none but Samsons and Goliaths it sendeth forth to skirmish 1 to 10. Lean raw-boned rascals who would e'er suppose they had such courage and audacity.
Let's leave this town, for they are hair-brained slaves, and hunger will force them to be more eager. Of old I know them. Rather with their teeth the walls they'll tear down than forsake the siege.
I think by some odd gimmick or device, their arms are set like clocks, stiff to strike on. Like ne'er could they hold out so as they do. But my consent will even let them alone.
Be it so.
Enter the Bastard of Orleans.
Where's the Prince Dauphin? I have some news for him.
Bastard of Orleans, thrice welcome to us.
Methinks your looks are sad, your cheer appalled. Hath the late overthrow wrought this offense? Be not dismayed, for succor is at hand. A holy maid hither with me I bring, which by a vision sent to her by heaven, ordained is to raise this tedious siege, and drive the English forth the bounds of France. The spirit of deep prophecy she hath, exceeding the 9 Sibyls of old Rome. What's past and what's to come she can descry. Speak, shall I call her in? Believe my words, for they are certain and unfallible.
Go call her in, but first, to try her skill, Regnier, stand thou as dolphin in my place. Question her proudly, let thy looks be stern, by this means shall we sound what skill she hath.
Enter Joan Housel.
Fair maid, if thou wilt do these wondrous feats.
Regnier, is it thou that thinkst to beguile me? Where's the Dauphin? Come. Come from behind. I know thee well, though never seen before. Be not amazed. There's nothing hid from me. In private will I talk with thee apart. Send back, you lords, and give us leave a while.
She takes upon her bravely at first dash.
Dauphin, I am by birth a shepherd's daughter, my wit untrained in any kind of art. Heaven and our Lady gracious hath it pleased to shine on my contemptible estate. Lo, whilst I waited on my tender lambs, and to sun's parching heat displayed my cheeks, God's mother deigned to appear to me, and in a vision full of majesty, willed me to leave my base vocation and free my country from calamity. Her aid she promised, and assured success. In complete glory she revealed herself, and whereas I was black and swart before, with those clear rays which she infused on me, that beauty I am blessed with, which you may see. Ask me what question thou canst possible, and I will answer unpremeditated. My courage try by combat, if thou darest, and thou shalt find that I exceed my sex. Resolve on this, thou shalt be fortunate if thou receive me for thy warlike mate.
Thou hast astonished me with thy high terms. Only this proof all of thy valor make. In single combat thou shalt buckle with me, and if thou vanquishest, thy words are true. Otherwise I renounce all confidence.
I am prepared. Here is my keen-edged sword, decked with fine flowered Duluth on each side, the which at Trelane in St. Catherine's churchyard, out of a great deal of old iron, I chose forth. And while I live, I'll ne'er fly from a man.
Here they fight, and Joan de Buzel overcomes.
Stay thy hands. Thou art an Amazon, and fightest with the sword of Deborah.
Oh, Christ's mother helps me, else I were too weak.
Whoe'er helps thee, 'tis thou that must help me. Impatiently I burn with thy desire. My heart and hands thou hast at once subdued. Excellent puzzle, if thy name be so. Let me thy servant, and not sovereign be. 'Tis the French dolphin sueth to thee thus.
I must not yield to any rights of love, for my profession's sacred from above. When I've chased all my foes from hence, then will I think upon a recompense.
Meantime, look gracious on thy prostrate thrall.
My lord, methinks this is very long in talk.
Doubtless he shrives this woman to her smock, else ne'er could he so long protract his speech.
Shall we distract him, since he keeps no mean?
He may mean more than we poor men do know. These women are shrewd tempters with their tongues.
My lord, where are you? What device you on? Shall we give over Orleans or no?
Why, no, I say, distrustful recreants, fight to the last gasp. I'll be your guard.
What she says, I'll confirm. We'll fight it out.
Signed am I to be the English scourge. This night the siege assuredly I'll raise. Expect St. Martin's summer, halcyon days, since I've entered into these wars. Glory is like a circle in the water, which never ceases to enlarge itself till by broad spreading it dispersed to naught. With Henry's death, the English circle ends. Dispersed are the glories it included. Now, am I like that proud, insulting ship, which Caesar and his fortunes bear at once?
Was Mahomet inspired with a dove? Thou with an eagle art inspired then. Helen, the mother of great Constantine, nor yet St. Philip's daughters were like thee. Bright star of Venus, fallen down on the earth, how may I reverently worship thee enough?
Leave off delays and let us raise the siege.
Woman, do what thou canst to save our honor. Drive them from Orleans and be immortalized.
Presently we'll try. Come, let's away about it. No prophet will I trust if she prove false.
Exeunt. Enter Gloucester with his serving men.
I am come to survey the tower this day. Since Henry's death, I fear there is conveyance. Where be these warders that they wait not here? Open the gates! 'Tis Gloucester that calls.
Who's there that knocks so imperiously?
It is the noble Duke of Gloucester.
Whoe'er he be, you may not be let in.
Villains, answer you so the Lord Protector?
The Lord protect him, so we answer him. We do no otherwise than we are willed.
Who willed you? Or whose will stands but mine? There's none protector of the realm but I. Break up the gates, I'll be your warranties. Shall I be flouted thus by dunghill grooms?
Gloucester's men rush at the tower gates, and Woodfield the lieutenant speaks within.
What noise is this? What traitors have we here?
Lieutenant, is it you whose voice I hear? Open the gates, here's Gloucester that would enter.
Have patience, noble Duke. I may not open. The Cardinal of Winchester forbids. From him I have express commandment that thou nor none of thine shall be let in.
Faint-hearted Woodville prizest him for me. Arrogant Winchester, that haughty prelate whom Henry our late sovereign ne'er could brook. Thou art no friend to God or to the king. Open the gates or I'll shut thee out shortly.
Open the gates unto the Lord Protector, or we'll burst them open, if that you come not quickly. Enter to the Protector at the tower gates, Winchester and his men in tawny coats.
How now, ambitious Umfear? What means this?
Yield, priest, dost thou command me to be shut out?
I do, thou most usurping proditor, and not protector of the king or realm.
Stand back, thou manifest conspirator, thou that contrivedst to murder our dead lord, thou that givest whores indulgences to sin. I'll canvass thee in thy broad cardinal's hat if thou proceed in this thy insolence.
Nay, stay thou back. I will not budge a foot. This be Damascus. Be thou cursed Cain to slay thy brother Abel if thou wilt.
I will not slay thee, but I'll drive thee back. Thy scarlet robes as a child's bearing cloth I'll use to carry thee out of this place.
Do what thou darst. I beard thee to thy face.
What? Am I dared and bearded to my face? Draw, men, for all this privileged place, blue coats to tawny coats, priest. Beware your beard, I mean to tug it, and to cuff you soundly. Under my feet I stamp thy cardinal's hat. In spite of pope or dignities of church, here by the cheeks I'll drag thee up and down.
Gloucester, thou wilt answer this before the pope.
Winchester goose, I cry, a rope, a rope. Now be from hence, why do you let them stay? Thee I'll chase hence, thou wolf in sheep's array. Out tawny coats, out scarlet hypocrite.
Here Gloucester's men beat out the Cardinal's men and enter in the hurly-burly, the mayor of London and his officers.
Fine, lords, that you be supreme magistrates, thus contemptuously should break the peace.
Peace, Mayor, thou knowst little of my wrongs. Here's Beaufort, that regards nor God nor king, hath here distrained the tower to his use.
Here's Gloucester, a foe to citizens, one that still motions war and never peace, or charging your free purses with large fines that seeks to overthrow religion, because he is protector of the realm and would have armor here out of the tower to crown himself king and suppress the prince.
I will not answer thee with words, but blows.
Here they skirmish again.
Not rest for me in this tumultuous strife. Run to make open proclamation. Come, officer, as loud as thou canst cry.
All manner of men assembled here this day against God, peace, and the kings, we charge and command you in the highness name to repair to your several dwelling places, and not to wear, handle, or use any sword, weapon, or dagger henceforward upon pain of death.
Cardinal, I'll be no breaker of the law, but we shall meet and break our minds at large.
Gloucester, we'll meet to thy cost, be sure. Thy heart blood I will have for this day's work.
I'll call for clubs if you will not away. This cardinal's more haughty than the devil.
Mayor, farewell. Thou dost but what thou mayst.
Abominable Gloucester, guard thy head, for I intend to have it ere long.
Exeunt.
See the coast cleared, and then we will depart. Oh, good God, these nobles should such stomachs bear. I unveil fight not once in 40 years.
Exeunt. Enter the master gunner of Orleans and his boy.
Sirrah, thou knowst how Orleans is besieged, and how the English have the suburbs won.
Father, I know, and oft have shot at them. Howe'er unfortunate, I missed my aim.
But now thou shalt not. Be thou ruled by me. Chief master gunner am I of this town. Something I must do to procure me grace. The prince's espials have informed me how the English in the suburbs close entrenched went through a secret grate of iron bars in yonder tower to overpeer the city, and thence discover how, with most advantage, they may vex us with shot or with assault. To intercept this inconvenience, a piece of ordnance against it I have placed, and even these 3 days have I watched. If I could see them, now do thou watch, for I can stay no longer. If thou spiest any, run and bring me word, and thou shalt find me at the governor's.
Father, I warrant you, take you no care. I'll never trouble you, if I may spy them.
Enter Salisbury and Talbot on the turrets with others.
Talbot, my life, my joy, again returned? How wert thou handled being prisoner, or by what means gotst thou to be released? Discourse, I prithee, on this turret top.
The Earl of Bedford had a prisoner, called the brave Lord Ponton de Saint-Real. For him was I exchanged and ransomed, but with a baser man of arms by far. Once in contempt they would have bartered me, which I, disdaining, scorned and craved death, rather than I would be so ill esteemed. In fine, redeemed I was as I desired, but oh, the treacherous Falstaff wounds my heart, whom with my bare fists I would execute, if I now had him brought into my power.
Yet tellst thou not how thou wert entertained?
With scoffs and scorns and contemptuous taunts, in open marketplace product they me, to be a public spectacle to all. Here, said they, is the terror of the French, the scarecrow that affrights our children so. Then broke I from the officers that led me, and with my nails digged stones out of the ground to hurl at the beholders of my shame. My grisly countenance made others fly. None durst come near for fear of sudden death. In iron walls they deemed not secure. In so great fear of my name amongst them were spread, that they supposed I could rend bars of steel and spurn in pieces posts of adamant. Wherefore a guard of chosen shot I had, that walked about me every minute while, and if I did but stir out of my bed, ready they were to shoot me to the heart.
Enter the boy with a linstock.
I grieve to hear what torments you endured, but we will be revenged sufficiently. Now, it is supper time in Orleans. Here through this grate I count each one, and view the Frenchmen how they fortify. Let us look in, the sight will much delight thee. Sir Thomas Gargrave and Sir William Glansdale, let me have your express opinions. Where is the best place to make our battery next?
I think at the north gate.
For there stands Lords.
I hear at the bulwark of the bridge.
For aught I see, this city must be famished, or with light skirmishes enfeebled.
Here they shot, and Salisbury falls down.
Oh, Lord, have mercy on us, wretched sinners.
Lord, have mercy on me, woeful man.
What chance is this that suddenly hath crossed us? Speak, Salisbury, at least if thou canst speak. How far'st thou, mirror of all martial men? One of thy eyes and thy cheek's side struck off? Accursed tower, accursed fatal hand, that have contrived this woeful tragedy. In 13 battles Salisbury o'ercame. Henry V he first trained to the wars. Whilst any trumpet did sound or drum struck up, His sword did ne'er leave striking in the field. Yet livest thou, Salisbury? Though thy speech doth fail, one eye thou hast to look to heaven for grace. The sun with one eye, view of all the world. Heaven be thou gracious to none alive, if Salisbury wants mercy at thy hands. Bear hence his body, I will help to bury it. Sir Thomas Gargrave, hast thou any life? Speak unto Talbot, nay, look up to him. Salisbury, share thy spirit with this comfort. Thou shalt not die while he beckons with his hand and smiles on me. As who should say, when I am dead and gone, remember to avenge me on the French. Plantagenet, I will, and like thee, play on the lute, beholding the towns burn. Wretched shall France be only in my name.
Hear an alarum, and it thunders and lightens.
What stir is this? What tumults in the heavens? Where cometh this alarm and the noise?
Enter a messenger. My lord, the French have gathered head. The Dolphin with one Joan de Puzel joined. A holy prophetess new risen up has come with great power to raise the siege. Here Salisbury lifted.
Here, how dying Salisbury doth groan. It irks his heart, he cannot be revenged. Frenchman, I'll be a Salisbury to you. Puzel or Pucelle, dolphin or dogfish, your heart I'll stamp out with my horse's heels and make a quagmire of your mingled brains. Convey me Salisbury to his tent, and then we'll try what these dastard Frenchmen dare.
Alarum, exeunt. Here an alarum again, and Talbot pursueth the Dolphin and driveth him. Then enter Joan de Puzel, driving Englishmen before her. Then enter Talbot.
Where is my strength, my valor, and my force? Our English troops retire. I cannot stay them. A woman clad in armor chaseth them?
Enter Puzel.
Here she comes. I'll have a bout with thee. Devil, or devil's dam, I'll conjure thee. Blood will I draw on thee. Thou art a witch, and straightway give thy soul to him thou servest.
Come, 'tis only I that must disgrace thee.
Here they fight.
Heavens, can you suffer hell so to prevail? My breast I'll burst with straining of my courage, and from my shoulders crack my arms asunder. But I will chastise this high-minded strumpet.
They fight again.
Talbot, farewell. Thy hour is not yet come. I must go victual Orleans forthwith.
A short alarum, then enter the town with soldiers.
Or take me if thou canst. I scorn thy strength. Go cheer up the hungry, starved men. Help Salisbury to make his testament. This day is ours, as many more shall be.
Exit.
My thoughts are whirled like a potter's wheel. I know not where I am, nor what I do. A witch by fear, not force, like Hannibal drives back our troops and conquers as she lists. So bees with smoke and doves with noisome stench are from their hives and houses driven away. They called us for our fierceness English dogs. Now like whelps, we crying run away.
A short alarum.
Hark, countrymen, either renew the fight or tear the lions out of England's coat. Renounce your soul, give sheep in lions' stead. Sheep run not half so treacherous from the wolf, or horse or oxen from the leopard, as you fly from your oft-subdued slaves.
Alarum, here another skirmish.
It will not be. Retire into your trenches. You are all consented into Salisbury's death, for none would strike a stroke in his revenge. Puzel is entered into Orleans, in spite of us, or aught that we could do. Or would I were to die with Salisbury. The shame hereof will make me hide my head.
Exit Talbot. Alrum, retreat, flourish. Enter on the walls, Puzel, Dolphin, Rainier, Allinson, and soldiers.
Advance our waving colors on the walls. Rescued is Orleans from the English. Thus, Joan de Puzel hath performed her word.
Divinest creature, Astria's daughter, how shall I honor thee for this success? Thy promises are like Adonis' garden, that one day bloomed and fruitful were the next. France triumphed in thy glorious prophetess. Recovered is the town of Orleans, more blessed hap did ne'er befall our state.
Why ring not the bells? Shout throughout the town. Dauphin, command the citizens make bonfires and feast and banquet in the open streets to celebrate the joy that God has given us.
All France will be replete with mirth and joy when they shall hear how we have played the men.
'Tis Joan, not we, by whom the day is won, for which I will divide my crown with her, and all the priests and friars in my realm shall in procession sing her endless praise. A statelier Pyramus to her I'll rear than Rodolphe's or Memphis ever was. In memory of her when she is dead, her ashes in an urn more precious than the rich jeweled coffer of Darius transported shall be at high festivals before the kings and queens of France. No longer on Saint Denis will we cry, but Joan de Puzel shall be France's saint. Come in, and let us banquet royally after this golden day of victory.
Flourish, exeunt, actus secundus scena prima. Enter a sergeant of a band with 2 sentinels.
Sirs, take your places and be vigilant. If any noise or soldier you perceive near to the walls,
I'm actually in the middle
by
of
some
reading
apparent sign,
Q
let us have knowledge at the
Okay.
court of guard.
Sergeant, you shall. Thus our poor servitors, when others sleep upon their quiet beds, constrained to watch in darkness, rain, and cold. Enter Talbot, Bedford, and Burgundy with scaling ladders, their drums beating a dead march.
Lord Regent and redoubted Burgundy, by whose approach the regions of Artois, Wallon, and Picardy are friends to us. This happy night, the Frenchmen are secure, having all day caroused and banqueted. Embrace we then this opportunity, as fitting best to quittance their deceit, contrived by art and baleful sorcery.
Coward of France, how much he wrongs his fame, despairing of his own army's fortitude to join with witches and the help of hell.
Traitors have never other company, but what's that?
Traitors have never other company, but watch that Puzel whom they term so pure.
A maid, they say.
A maid, and be so martial.
Pray God she prove not masculine ere long, if underneath the standard of the French she carry armour as she hath begun.
Well, let them practice and converse with spirits. God is our fortress, in whose conquering name let us resolve to scale their flinty bulwarks.
Ascend, brave Talbot, we will follow thee.
Not altogether. Better far, I guess, that we do make our entrance several ways, that if it chance that one of us do fail, the other yet may rise against their force.
Agreed. I'll to yonder corner.
And I to this.
And here will Talbot mount, or make his grave. Now, Salisbury, for thee and for the right of English Henry shall this night appear how much in duty I am bound to both.
Arm, arm, the enemy doth make assault. Ah, St. George, a Talbot! The French leap o'er their walls in their shirts, enter several ways. Bastard, Alanson, Regnier, half ready and half unready.
Oh, now, my lords, what's all unready so?
Unready, and I am glad we skate so well.
'Twas time I trow to wake and leave our beds, hearing alarms at our chamber doors.
Of all exploits since first I followed arms, ne'er heard I of a warlike enterprise more venturous or desperate than this.
Think this Talbot be a fiend of hell?
If not of hell, then heaven sure favor him.
Here cometh Charles. I marvel how he sped.
Enter Charles and Joan.
But holy Joan was his defensive guard.
Is this thy cunning, thou deceitful dame? Didst thou at first to flatter us withal make us partakers of a little gain, that now our loss might be 10 times so much?
For Shaw's impatient with his friend. At all times will you have my power alike? Sleeping or waking, must I still prevail, or will you blame and lay the fault on me? Improvident soldiers, had your watch been good, this sudden mischief never could have fallen.
Duke of Alanson, this was your default, that being captain of the watch tonight did look no better to that weighty charge.
Had all your quarters been as safely kept as what whereof I had the government, we had not been thus shamefully surprised.
Mine was secure.
And so was mine, my lord.
And for myself, most part of all this night within her quarter in mine own precinct I was employed in passing to and fro about relieving of the sentinels. Then how or which way should they first break in?
Question, my lords, no further in this case. How or which way? 'Tis sure they found someplace, but weakly guarded, where the breach was made. And now there rests no other shift but this, to gather our soldiers, scattered and dispersed, and lay some new platforms to undamage them.
Exeunt. Alarum. Enter a soldier crying, "A Talbot! A Talbot!" They fly, leaving their clothes behind. I'll be so bold to take what they have left. The cry of Talbot serves me for a sword, for I have loaden me with many spoils, using no other weapon but his name. Exit. Enter Talbot, Bedford, Burgundy.
The day begins to break and night is fled. Whose pitchy mantle over there the earth? Here shall retreat and cease our hot pursuit.
Retreat.
Bring forth the body of old Salisbury, and here advance it in the marketplace, the middle censure of this cursed town. Now have I paid my vow unto his soul, for every drop of blood that was drawn from him. There hath at least 5 Frenchmen died tonight, and that hereafter ages may behold what ruin happened in revenge of him. Within their chiefest temple I'll erect a tomb, wherein his corpse shall be interred, upon the which that every one may read, shall be engraved the sack of Orleans, the treacherous manner of his mournful death, and what a terror he had been to France. But lords, in all our bloody massacre, I muse we met not with the Dauphin's grace, his new-come champion, virtuous Joan of Arc, nor any of his false confederates.
'Tis thought Lord Talbot, when the fight began, roused on the sudden from their drowsy beds, they did amongst the troops of armed men leap over the walls for refuge in the field.
Myself, as far as I could well discern, for smoke and dusky vapors of the night, I'm sure I scared the Dolphin and his trull, when arm in arm they both came swiftly running, like to a pair of loving turtle doves that could not live asunder day or night. After that, things are set in order here. We'll follow them with all the power we have.
Enter a messenger.
All hail, my lords. Which of this princely train call ye the warlike Talbot for his acts so much applauded through the realm of France?
Here is the Talbot. Who would speak with him?
The virtuous lady, Countess of Auvergne, with modesty admiring thy renown, by me entreats, great lord, thou wouldst vouchsafe to visit her poor castle where she lies, that she may boast she hath beheld the man whose glory fills the world with loud report.
Is it even so? Nay, when then I see our wars will turn unto peaceful comic sport, when ladies crave to be encountered with. You may not, my lord, despise her gentle suit.
Trust me then, for when a world of men could not prevail with all of their oratory, yet hath a woman's kindness overruled. And therefore tell her, I return great thanks, and in submission will attend on her. Will not your honors bear me company?
No, truly 'tis more than manners will. And I've heard it said, unbidden guests are often welcomest when they are gone.
Well then, alone, since there's no remedy. I mean to prove this lady's courtesy. Come hither, Captain. You perceive my mind.
Whispers. You're muted, Captain.
I do, my lord, and mean accordingly.
Exeunt. Enter Countess.
Porter, remember what I gave in charge, and when you have done so, bring the keys to me.
Madam, I will.
Exit.
The plot is laid. If all things fall out right, I shall as famous be by this exploit as Scythian Pomerus by Cyrus' death. Great is the rumor of this dreadful knight, and his achievements of no less account. Fain would mine eyes be witness with mine ears to give their censure of these rare reports.
Enter messenger and Talbot.
Madam, according as your ladyship desired, by message craved, so is Lord Talbot come.
And he is welcome. What, is this the man?
Madam, it is.
Is this the scourge of France? Is this the Talbot so much feared abroad? And with his name the mothers still their babes. I see report is fabulous and false. I thought I should have seen some Hercules, a second Hector for his grim aspect and large proportion of his strong knit limbs. Alas, this is a child, a silly dwarf. It cannot be this weak and wrath-filled shrimp should strike such terror to his enemies.
Madame, I have been bold to trouble you, but since your ladyship is not at leisure, I'll sort some other time to visit you.
What means he now? Go ask him whither he goes.
Stay, my Lord Talbot, for my lady craves to know the cause of your abrupt departure.
Marry, for that she's in a wrong belief, I go to certify her Talbot's here.
Enter Porter with keys.
If thou be he, then art thou prisoner.
Prisoner? To whom?
To me, bloodthirsty lord, and for that cause I train thee to my house. Long time my shadow hath been thrall to me, for in my gallery thy picture hangs. But now the substance shall endure the like, and I will chain these legs and arms of thine, that hast by tyranny these many years wasted our country, slain our citizens, and sent our sons and husbands captivate.
Ha ha ha!
Laughest thou, wretch? Thy mirth shall turn to moan.
I laugh to see your ladyship so fond, to think that you have aught but Talbot's shadow, whereon to practice your severity.
Why, art not thou the man?
I am indeed.
Then have I substance too.
No, no, I am but shadow of myself. You are deceived. My substance is not here. For what you see is but the smallest part and least proportion of humanity. I tell you, madam, were the whole frame here, it is of such a spacious, lofty pitch, your roof were not sufficient to contain it.
This is the riddling merchant for the nonce. He will be here, and yet he is not here. How can these contrarieties agree?
That I will show you presently.
Horn, drums strike up, a peal of ordnance, enter soldiers.
How say you, madam? Are you now persuaded that Talbot is but shadow of himself? These are his substance, sinews, arms, and strength, with which he yoked your rebellious necks, raiseth your cities and subverts your towns, and in a moment makes them desolate.
Victorious Talbot, pardon my abuse. I find thou art no less than fame hath brewed, and more than may be gathered by thy shape. Let my presumption not provoke thy wrath, for I am sorry that with reverence I did not entertain thee as thou art.
Be not dismayed, fair lady, nor misconstrue the mind of Talbot, as you did mistake the outward composition of his body. What you have done have not offended me, nor other satisfaction do I crave, but only with your patience, that we may taste your wine and see what cates you have, for soldiers' stomachs always serve them well.
With all my heart, and think me honored to feast so great a warrior in my house.
Exeunt. Enter Richard Plantagenet, Warwick, Somerset, Poole, and others.
Great lords and gentlemen, what means this silence? Dare no man answer in a case of truth?
Within the temple hall we were too loud. The garden here is more convenient.
Then say at once, if I maintain the truth, or else was wrangling Somerset in the error.
Faith, I have been a truant in the law, and never yet could frame my will to it, and therefore frame the law unto my will.
Judge you, my lord of Warwick, then, between us.
Between two hawks, which flies the higher pitch? Between two dogs, which hath the deeper mouth? Between two blades, which bears the better temper? Between two horses, which doth bear him best? Between two girls, which hath the merriest eye? I have perhaps some shallow spirit of judgment, but in these nice sharp quillets of the law, good faith, I am no wiser than a daw.
Here is a mannerly forbearance. The truth appears so naked on my side that any purblind eye may find it out.
And on my side it is so well apparelled, so clear, so shining, and so evident that it will glimmer through a blind man's eye.
Since you are tongue-tied and so loath to speak, in dumb significance proclaim your thoughts. Let him that is a true-born gentleman and stands upon the honor of his birth, if he suppose that I have pleaded truth, from off this briar pluck a white rose with me.
Let him that has no coward nor no flatterer, but dare maintain the party of the truth, pluck a red rose from off this thorn with me.
I love no colors, and without all color of base insinuating flattery, I pluck this white rose with Plantagenet.
I pluck this red rose with young Somerset, and say withal, I think he held the right.
Say, lords and gentlemen, and pluck no more till you conclude that he upon whose side the fewest roses are cropped upon the tree shall yield the other in the right opinion.
Good Master Vernon, it is well objected, but I have the fewest. I subscribe in silence.
And I.
Then for the truth and plainness of the case, I pluck this pale and maiden blossom here, giving my verdict on the white rose side.
Prick not your finger if you pluck it off, lest bleeding you do paint the white rose red. and fall on my side, so against your will?
If I, my lord, for my opinion bleed, opinion shall be the surgeon to my hurt, and keep me on the side where I still am.
Well, well, come, who else?
Lawyer, I think that's. Unless my study and my books be false, the argument you held was wrong in you, and sign whereof I pluck a white rose too.
Now, Somerset, where is your argument?
Here, in my scabbard, meditating that there shall die you whose rose is a bloody red.
Meantime, your cheeks do counterfeit our roses, for pale they look with fear, as witnessing the truth on our side.
No, Plantagenet, 'tis not with fear, but anger that thy cheeks blush, for pure shame to the counterfeit our roses. And yet my tongue shall not confess thy error.
Hath not thy rose a canker, Somerset?
Hath not thy rose a thorn, Plantagenet?
Aye, sharp and piercing to maintain his truth, whilst thy consuming canker eats his falsehood.
Well, I'll find friends to wear my bleeding rose. Thou shalt maintain what I have said is true, whether false Plantagenet dare not be seen.
Now by this maiden blossom in my hand, I scorn thee and thy fashion, peevish boy.
Turn not thy scorns this way, Plantagenet.
Proud fool I will, and scorn both him and thee.
I'll turn my part thereof into thy throat.
Away, away, good William de la Pole, will grace the yeoman by conversing with him.
Now, by gods, wilt thou wrongst him, Somerset? His grandfather was Lionel, Duke of Clarence, third son to the 3rd Edward, King of England. Spring crestless yeoman from so deep a root?
He bears them on the place's privilege, or durst not for his craven heart say thus.
By him that made me, I'll maintain my words. On any plot of ground in Christendom, 'twas not thy father, Edward, Earl of Cambridge, for treason executed in our late king's days, and by his treason standest not thou attained, corrupted, and exempt from ancient gentry. His trespass yet lives guilty in thy blood, and till thou hast restored, thou art a yeoman.
My father was attached, not attainted, condemned to die for treason, but no traitor, and that I'll prove on better men than Somerset, were growing time once ripened to my will. For your partaker Poole, and you yourself, I'll note you in my book of memory to scourge you for this apprehension. Look to it well, and say you are well warned.
Ah, thou shalt find us ready for thee still, and know us by these colors for thy foe, and these my friends, in spite of thee, shall wear.
And by my soul, this pale and angry rose, as cognizant of my blood-drinking hate, will I forever and my faction wear, until it wither with me to my grave, or flourish to the height of my degree.
Go forward and be choked with thy ambition, and so farewell until I meet thee next. Exit.
Have with thee, Pole. Farewell, ambitious Richard.
How am I braved, and must perforce endure it?
This blot that they object against your house shall be whipped out in the next Parliament, called for the truce of Winchester and Gloucester, and if thou be not created York, I will not live to be accounted Warwick. Meantime, in signal of my love to thee, against proud Somerset and William Poole, will I upon thy party wear this rose, and here I prophesy, this brawl today grown to this faction in the temple garden, shall send between the red rose and the white 1,000 souls to death and deadly night.
Good Master Vernon, I am bound to you, that you on my behalf would pluck a flower.
In your behalf still will I wear the same, and so will I.
Thanks, gentle. Come, let us forward to dinner. I dare say this quarrel will drink blood another day.
Exeunt. Enter Mortimer, brought in a chair, and jailers.
Timekeepers of my weak decaying age, let dying Mortimer here rest himself, even like a man new healed from the rack. So fare my limbs with long imprisonment, and these grey locks, the pursuivants of death, nested like age in an age of care, argue the end of Edmund Mortimer. These eyes like lamps whose wasting oil is spent, wax dim as drawing to their exigent. Weak soldiers overborne with burdening grief, and pithless arms like to a withered vine that droops like sapless branches to the ground. Yet are these feet, whose strength would stay and numb, unable to support this lump of clay, swift ring with desire to get a grave, as witting I no other comfort have. But tell me, keeper, will my nephew come?
Richard Plantagenet, my lord, will come. We sent unto the temple, unto his chamber, and answer was returned, that he will come.
Why, enough, my soul shall then be satisfied. Poor gentleman, his wrong doth equal mine, since Henry Monmouth first began to reign, before whose glory I was great in arms. This loathsome sequestration have I had, and ever since then hath Richard been obscured, deprived of honor and inheritance. But now the arbitrator of despairs, just death, kind umpire of men's miseries, with sweet enlargement doth dismiss me hence. I would his troubles like worries were expired, that so he might recover what was lost.
Enter Richard.
My lord, your loving nephew now is come.
Oh, Richard Plantagenet, my friend, is he come?
I, noble uncle, thus ignobly used, your nephew, late despised Richard, comes.
Oh, direct mine arms I may embrace his neck, and in his bosom spend my latter gasp. Oh, tell me when my lips do touch his cheeks, that I may kindly give one fainting kiss. And now declare, sweet stem from York's great stock, what didst thou say of late thou wast despised?
First, lean thy aged back against mine arm, and in that ease I'll tell thee my disease. This day in argument upon a case, some words there grew twixt Somerset and me, among which terms he used his lavish tongue, and did upbraid me with my father's death, which obloquy set bars before my tongue, else with the like I had requited him. Therefore, good uncle, for my father's sake, in honor of a true Plantagenet, and for alliance sake, declare the cause my father, Earl of Cambridge, lost his head.
That cause, fair nephew, that imprisoned me, and hath detained me all my flowering youth within a loathsome dungeon, there to pine, was cursed instrument of his decrease.
Discover more at large what cause that was, for I am ignorant and cannot guess.
I will, if that my fading breath permit, and death approach not ere my tale be done. Henry IV, grandfather to this king, disposed his nephew Richard, Edward's son, the first begotten, and the lawful heir of Edward King, the third of that descent, during whose reign the Percys of the north, finding his usurpation most unjust, endeavored my advancement to the throne. The reason moved these warlike lords to this was for that young Richard thus removed, leaving no heir begotten of his body, I was the next by birth and parentage. For my mother I derived am from Lionel, Duke of Clarence, third son to King Edward III, whereas he from John of Gaunt doth bring his pedigree, being but fourth of that heroic line. But mark, as in this haughty great attempt they labor to plant the rightful heir, I lost my liberty, and they their lives. Long after this, when Henry V, succeeding his father Bolingbroke, did reign, thy father, Earl of Cambridge, then derived from famous Edward Langley, Duke of York, marrying my sister that thy mother was, again in pity of my hard distress, levied an army, weening to redeem, and having still me the diadem. But as the rest, so fell that noble earl and was beheaded. Thus the Mortimers, in whom the title rested, were suppressed.
Of which, my lord, your honor is the last.
True, and thou seest that I no issue have, and that my fainting words do warrant death. Thou art my heir, the rest I wish thee gather, but yet be wary in thy studious care. Oh.
Thy grave admonishments prevail with me, and yet methinks my father's execution was nothing less than bloody tyranny.
Oh, but silence ever be, thou politic. Strong fixed is the house of Lancaster, and like a mountain not to be removed. Now thy uncle is removing hence, as princes do their courts when they are cloyed with long continuance in a settled place.
O uncle, would some part of my young years might but redeem the passage of your age.
Thou doest then wrong me, as your slaughterer doth, which giveth many wounds when one will kill. Mourn not, except thou sorrow for my good. Only give order for my funeral, and so farewell, and fair be all thy hopes, and prosperous be thy life, and peace the world.
Eyes.
And peace, no war befall thy parting soul. In prison hast thou spent a pilgrimage, and like a hermit overpassed thy days. Well, I will lock his counsel in my breast, and what I do imagine, let that rest. Keepers, convey him hence, and I myself will see his burial better than his life. Here dies the dusky torch of Mortimer, cloaked with ambition of the meaner sort. And for those wrongs, those bitter injuries, which Somerset hath offered to my house, I doubt not but with honor to redress, and therefore haste I to the Parliament, either to be restored to my blood, or make my will the advantage of my good.
Exit. Actus tertius, scena prima. Flourish. Enter King, Exeter, Gloucester, Winchester, Warwick, Somerset, Suffolk, Richard Plantagenet. Gloucester offers to put up a bill. Winchester snatches it and tears it.
Ah, comest thou with deep premeditated lines, with written pamphlets, studiously devised? Humphrey of Gloucester, if thou canst accuse, or aught intends to lay upon my charge, do it without invention, suddenly, as I with sudden and extemporal speech propose to answer what thou canst object.
Presumptuous priest, this place commands my patience. For thou shouldst find thou hast dishonored me. Think not, although in right as very infants prattle of thy pride. Thou art a most pernicious usurer, froward by nature, enemy to peace, lascivious, wanton, more than well beseems a man of thy profession and degree. Of thy treachery what's more manifest, in that thou laidst a trap to take my life as well at London Bridge as at the Tower. Besides, I fear me, if thy thoughts were sifted, the king thy sovereign is not quite exempt from envious malice of thy swelling heart.
Gloucester, I do defy thee. Lords, vouchsafe to give me hearing what I shall reply. If I were covetous, ambitious, or perverse, as he will have me, how am I so poor? Or how haps it? I seek not to advance or raise myself, but keep my wonted calling. And for dissension, who preferreth peace more than I do, except I be provoked? No, my good lords, it is not that offends, it is not that hath incensed the Duke. It is because no one should sway but he. No one but he should be about the king, and that engenders thunder in his breast, and makes him roar these accusations forth. But he shall know I am as good.
Hasbro, thou bastard of my grandfather?
Aye, lordly sir, for what are you, I pray, but one imperious in another's throne?
Am I not protector, saucy priest?
And am I not a prelate of the church?
Yes, as an outlaw in a castle keeps and useth it to patronage his theft.
Unreverent Gloucester.
Thou art reverend touching thy spiritual function, not thy life.
Rome shall remedy this.
Rome thither then. My lord, it were your duty to forbear.
My lord, it were you duty to forbear.
No, it's actually, I see the bishop. Somerset. I see the bishop.
Methinks my lord should be religious and know the office that belongs to such.
Methinks his lordship should be humbler. It befits not a prelate so to plead.
Yes, when his holy state is touched so near.
State holy or unhallowed, what of that? Is not his grace protector to the king?
Plantagenet, I see, must hold his tongue, lest it be said, speak sirrah when you should. Must your bold verdict enter talk with lords? Else I would have a fling at Winchester.
Uncles of Gloucester and of Winchester, the special watchmen of our English weal, I would prevail, if prayers might prevail, to join our hearts in love and amity. Oh, what a scandal is it to our crown that two such noble peers as ye should jar! Believe me, lords, my tender ears can tell. Civil dissension is a viperous worm that gnaws the bowels of the Commonwealth.
A noise within. Down with the tawny coats!
What tumult's this?
An uproar, I dare warrant, begun through malice of the bishop's men.
A noise again. Stones, stones! Enter mayor.
Oh, my good lords and virtuous Henry, pray, pity the city of London, pity us. The bishop and the Duke of Gloucester and men forbidden late to carry any weapons have filled their pockets full of pebbles, stones, and handing them themselves in contrary parts to pelt so fast as one another's pate. Oh, that many have their giddy brains knocked out. Oh, windows are broken down in every street, and we fear compelled to shut our shops.
Enter and skirmish with bloody pates.
We charge you, on allegiance to ourself, to hold your slaughtering hands and keep the peace. Pray, Uncle Gloucester, mitigate the strife.
Nay, if we be forbidden stones, we'll fall to it with our teeth. Do what they dare. We are as resolute. Skirmish again.
You of my households leave this peevish broil, and set this unaccustomed fight aside.
My lord, we know your grace to be a man, just and upright, and for your royal birth, inferior to none, but to his majesty. And ere that we shall suffer such a prince, so kindle a father of the commonweal, to be disgraced by an inkhorn mate, we and our wives and children all will fight, and have our bodies slaughtered by the foes.
Aye, and the very parings of our nails shall pitch a field when we are dead. Begin again.
Stay, I say, and if you love me as you say you do, let me persuade you to forbear a while.
Oh, this discord does afflict my soul. Can you, my lord of Winchester, behold my sighs and tears and will not once relent? Who should be pitiful if you be not? Or who should study to prefer peace? Of holy churchmen take delight in broils.
Yield, my lord protector. Yield, Winchester, except you mean with obstinate repulse to slay your sovereign and destroy the realm. You see what mischief and what murder too have been enacted through your enmity. Then be at peace. except ye thirst for blood.
He shall submit, or I will never yield.
Passion on a king commands me stoop, or I would see his heart out ere the priest should ever get that privilege of me.
Behold, my lord of Winchester, the Duke hath banished moody discontented fury, as by his smooth brows it doth appear. Why look you still so stern and tragical?
Dear Winchester, I offer thee my hand.
Fie, Uncle Beaufort, I have heard you preach. The malice was a great and grievous sin. And will not you maintain the thing you teach, but prove a great chief offender in the same?
Sweet king, the bishop hath a kindly eared. For shame, my lord of Winchester, relent. What, shall a child instruct you what to do?
Well, Duke of Gloucester, I will yield to thee, love for thy love, and hand for hand I give.
Aye, but I fear me with a hollow heart. Ye here, my friends and loving countrymen, this token serveth for a flag of truce betwixt ourselves and all our followers. So help me God, as I dissemble not.
So help me God, as I intend it not.
Oh, loving uncle, kind Duke of Gloucester, how joyful I am made by this contract. Oh, I am my masters, trouble us no more, but join in friendship as your lords have done.
Content, I'll to the surgeons.
And so will I.
And I will see what physic the tavern affords.
Accept this scroll, most gracious sovereign, which in the right of Richard Plantagenet we do exhibit to your majesty.
Well urged, my lord of Warwick, a sweet prince, and if your grace mark every circumstance, you have great reason to do Richard right, especially for those occasions at Eltham Place I told your majesty.
And those occasions, uncle, were of force. Therefore, my loving lords, our pleasure is that Richard be restored to his blood.
Let Richard be restored to his blood, so shall his father's wrong be recompensed.
As will the rest, so willeth Winchester.
If Richard will be true, not that all alone, but all the whole inheritance I give, that doth belong unto the house of York, from whence ye spring by lineal descent.
Thy humble servant vows obedience and humble service to the point of death.
Stoop then, and set your knee against my foot, and in regard of that duty done, I girt thee with the valiant sword of York. Rise, Richard, like a true Plantagenet, and rise, created princely Duke of York.
And so thrive, Richard, as thy foes may fall, and as my duty springs, so perish they that grudge one thought against your majesty.
Welcome, High Prince,
the
mighty
Duke
of York.
That great prince, ignoble Duke of York.
Now let best avail your majesty to cross the seas and to be crowned in France. The presence of a king engenders love amongst his subjects and his loyal friends, as it disanimates his enemies.
When Gloucester says the word, King Henry goes, for friendly counsel cuts off many foes.
Your ships already are in readiness.
Senate, flourish, exeunt, mane, Exeter.
Aye, we may march in England or in France, not seeing what is likely to ensue. This late dissension grown betwixt the peers burns under feigned ashes of forged love, and will at last break out into a flame, as festered members rot but by decree, till bones and flesh and sinews fall away. So will this base and envious discord breed. And now I fear that fatal prophecy, which in the time of Henry named the fit, was in the mouth of every sucking babe, that Henry born at Monmouth should win all, and Henry born at Windsor lose all. Which is so plain that Exeter doth wish his days may finish ere that hapless time.
Exit. Scene secunda. Enter Pucelle disguised with 4 soldiers with stacks upon their backs.
These are the city gates, the gates of Rowan, through which, but our policy must make a breach. Take heed, be wary how you place your words. Talk like the vulgar sort of market men that come together money for their corn. If we have entrance, as I hope we shall, and that we find the slothful watch but weak, I'll by a sign give notice to our friends that Charles the Dauphin may encounter them.
Our sex shall be a mean to sack the city, and we be lords and rulers over Rhone. Therefore we'll knock.
Kayla!
Sont les pauvres gens de France, poor market folks that come to sell their corn.
Oh, enter, go in, the market bell is rung.
Now, Rowan, I'll shake thy bulwarks to the ground.
Exeunt. Enter Charles Bastard Alanson.
Saint Denis bless this happy stratagem, and once again will sleep secure in Rome.
Here entered Pucelle and her practicants. Now she is there. How will she specify? Here is the best and safest passage in.
By thrusting out a torch from yonder tower, which once discerned shows that her meaning is. No way to that for weakness which she entailed.
Enter Pucelle on the top, thrusting out a torch burning.
Behold, this is the happy wedding torch that joyeth Ronan unto her countrymen, but burning fatal to the Talbotites.
See, noble Charles, the beacon of our friend, the burning torch in yonder turret stands.
Now shine it like a comet of revenge, a prophet to the fall of all our foes.
Defer no time, delays have dangerous ends. Enter and cry, the Dauphin, presently, and then do execution on the watch.
Alarum and alarum, Talbot in excursion.
France, thou shalt rue this treason with thy tears, if Talbot but survive thy treachery. Pucelle, that witch, that damned sorceress, hath wrought this hellish mischief unawares, that hardly we escaped the pride of France.
Exit. An alarum. Excursions. Bedford brought in sick in a chair. Enter Talbot and Burgundy without. Within, Pucelle, Charles the Bastard, and Renier on the walls.
Good morrow, gallants. Want ye corn for bread? I think the Duke of Burgundy will fast before he'll buy again at such a rate. 'Twas full of darnel. Do you like the taste?
Burgundy, Kitty. Burgundy. Scoff on, vile fiend.
Scoff on, vile fiend and shameless courtesan. I trust ere long to choke thee with thine own, and make thee curse the harvest of that corn.
Your grace may starve, perhaps, before that time.
Oh, let no words but deeds revenge this treason.
What will ye do, good Greybeard? Break a lance and run a tilted death within a share?
Foul fiend! Foul fiend of France, and hag of all despite, encompassed with thy lustful paramours, becomes it thee to taunt this valiant age, and twixt with cowardice a man half dead? Damsel, I'll have a bout with you again, or else let Talbot perish with his shame.
Be so hot, sir. Yet, Pucelle, hold thy peace. If Talbot do but thunder, rain will follow.
They whisper together in council.
Godspeed the Parliament. Who shall be the speaker?
Dare ye come forth and meet us in the field?
Like your lordship takes us then for fools, to try if that our own be ours, or no?
I speak not to that railing Hecate, but unto thee, Alanson, and the rest. Will ye, like soldiers, come and fight it out?
Senor, no.
Senor, hang, base militars of France. Like peasant footboys do they keep the walls, and dare not take up arms like gentlemen.
Away, captains, let's get us from the walls. The Talbot means no goodness by his looks. God, by my lord, we came but to tell you that we are here.
Exeunt from the walls.
And there will we be too ere it be long, or else reproach be Talbot's greatest fame. Thou, Burgundy, by honor of thy house, pricked on by the public wrong sustained in France, either to get the town again or die. And I, as sure as English Henry lives, and as his father here was conqueror, as sure as in this late betrayed town, great Coeur de Lion's heart was buried. So sure I swear, to get the town or die.
Thy vows are equal partners with thy vows.
But ere we go, regard this dying prince, the valiant Duke of Bedford. Come, my lord, we will bestow you in some better place, fitter for sickness and for crassy age.
Lord Talbot, do not so dishonor me. Here will I sit before the walls of Rowan, and be partner of your wheel of woe.
Courageous Bedford, let us now persuade you.
Not to be gone from hence. For once I read that stout Pendragon in his litter sick came to the field and vanquished his foes. Methinks I should revive the soldiers' hearts, because I ever found them as myself.
Undaunted spirit in a dying breast. Then be it so. Heavens keep old Bedford safe. And now no more ado, brave Burgundy, but gather we our forces out of hand and set upon our boasting enemy.
Exit and alarum excursions. Enter Sir John Falstaff and a captain.
Whither away, Sir John Falstaff, in such haste?
Whither away? To save myself by flight. We are like to have the overthrow again.
What? Will you fly and leave Lord Talbot?
Aye, all the Talbots in the world to save my life.
Exit.
Cowardly knight, ill fortune follow thee.
Exit. Retreat. Excursions. Pucelle, Alanson, and Charles fly.
Now quiet soul. Depart when heaven please, for I have seen our enemies overthrown. What is the trust or strength of foolish man, that they of late were daring with their scarves, are glad and fain by flight to save themselves.
Bedford dies, and is carried in by two in his chair. An alarum, enter Talbot, Burgundy, and the rest.
Lost and recovered in a day again. This is a double honor, Burgundy. Yet heavens have glory for this victory.
Warlike and martial Talbot, Burgundy enshrines thee in his heart, and there erects thy noble deeds as valor's monuments.
Thanks, gentle Duke. But where is Pucelle now? I think her old familiar is asleep. Now where's the bastard's braves and Charles his gillets? What, Allamort? Rowan hangs her head for grief that such a valiant company are fled. Now will we take some order in the town, placing therein some expert officers, and then depart to Paris and to the king, for there young Henry with his nobles lie.
What wills Lord Talbot pleaseth Burgundy.
But yet, before we go, let's not forget the noble Duke of Bedford, late deceased. But see his equities fulfilled in Rowan. A braver soldier never couched longs. A gentler heart did never sway in court. But kings and mightiest potentates must die, for that's the end of human misery.
All right, exeunt, and let's take our little break here. Just a 5-minute break. Just and then we'll continue on. So I've got like about 9:07, so we'll be starting again about 9:12, 9:13. So any issues, any questions? Modine, okay, you did that. Thank you for turning off your video, Modine, but just if you could also do that when you're not in the scenes. So, but yeah, this is the first time, so that's fine. Don't worry about it. Not a big deal. So any questions, any issues? I think it's going really well. I mean, I think that's a sort of a good place to end. It's like, but kings and mightiest potentates must die, for that's the end of human misery. Since it would have rhymed, of course, it would have been pronounced somewhat differently to do that. But yes, that's the end of human misery, and all of the various biblical allusions and classical allusions you get in this play that are usually cut out in production because you can, yeah, cut those out. But yeah, so thank you all. And so yeah, if you want to take a break, you can, or if you have any questions or comments, feel free to share. All righty, so let's see. Yep. So yeah, one of the fun facts about the first part of Henry VI is it wasn't the first Henry VI play that he wrote. It was actually the third Henry VI play that he wrote, because he started with the second part. What we now know is the second part of Henry VI was one of the earliest published of his plays, which was the first part of the contention betwixt the houses of York and Lancaster with the death of the good Duke Humphrey. Well, that was the title. It was like the contention is basically what it's referred to. So he did part 2 and part 3, and then it wasn't until later that he went back and did part 1. And I'm not sure if they think he went from part 3 to Richard III and then back to part 1, or he probably did part 1 after he'd done that. But so it's like the first prequel. I don't know. But it is an interesting thing, and of course there've been a lot of sorts of theories in terms of sort of more of getting to the idea that in Shakespeare's plays there was a lot of collaboration, and that there may have been collaborators. A lot of people, I think, the Oxford Shakespeare or something is now like writes Henry VI as by Shakespeare and Marlowe, or Marlowe and Shakespeare, and so there's that. There's other things, but it is very early. But you've also, I mean, look, I mean, we're just at the intermission, and Jackie's already gotten to die twice on stage.
Yes. Very good at that, Jackie, by the way.
Yes, it is. It's good. I mean, and it's like, yeah, you've got all of these sorts of deaths in Shakespeare, and then I mean, like, and you also, I mean, this is also, I think this is interesting because this is one of the few things. I mean, you have somebody who's named Pistol, but actually with like a gunshot killing somebody, or actually killing 2 people. But Salisbury gets all the attention, but I think Gargrave also goes down with that. Which is interesting, and which I think is also that people don't sort of realize is that in Shakespeare's time, yes, they had guns, but he liked to write his play with swords, because sword fights, I think, since this is an early play, sort of did that. He's like trying to build up the tension. Okay, he's gonna shoot. He shot. He's dead. Okay, you know, it's just, it doesn't have the same sort of fun that you can have with a sword fight. And you can have plenty of sword fights in this one, all of the various alarums and excursions and such with that. So, And just to sort of let you know, with our upcoming schedule, we will be doing um, the second part of Henry VI on Saturday, and I'll be getting back to you. I haven't gotten everybody yet, but if you were in this one and you want to be in that one, I will definitely do that. Trying to continue characters as much as possible, and
Yes, of course.
plus, of course, Eleanor insists on reading Eleanor, so. Uh, yes.
Well, I like reading Eleanor.
Yes.
Honestly.
Yes, you do. Well, it's a great part. I mean, yeah. It's the. I mean, I like to think of it's like, it's. I mean, because really, then like part two is really maybe Shakespeare's first play, and basically the first sort of domestic scene you have is between Humphrey and Eleanor, and it's just such a wonderful little scene between where with the dreams. He's talking about his dream, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, but yeah." So that's a lot
My
of fun.
dream's better than your dream.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, your dream's really ambitious. All right, so knock it off. But
Yeah, my dream is means bad trouble for you later on.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're just about time to be getting started again. Does anybody have any questions, any issues? Um,
I have had some Zoom problems with my uh, microphone and speakers, so I just hope that I don't have any at the wrong second.
yeah. Well, that does happen, and I mean we have had some things. I mean that's what happens. I know with like Ken, his thing sort of went out for a little bit, but the sound did, and I think there were some other things.
What are we hearing that's garbled?
I think it's somebody who doesn't have their mic muted. I think it may who, but yeah. So I mean that's also a good thing to mute yourself when you're not in, and to turn on and off your video when you're not in the scene.
Oh, I'd like to do a test. Can you hear anything when I just did that?
Yes, I heard something. It was a click.
No, do you hear anything now after the click?
It's very faint, but it's the fan. I hear the fan, but you've done it for me before, so I'm listening for it, but it's not very noticeable. I mean,
Okay.
a lot of times the thing is that when people are like typing when you're not muted, that really makes a lot of noise. So just to be aware of that, and everything.
Paul, I made a slight adjustment on my internal microphone. Is it okay?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that whatever adjustment I made didn't do anything stupid.
No. I mean, there's various things about turn on or turn off original sound and stuff like that. But anyways, so if there's no one, so do we have Charles Bustard? All righty
Have
then.
we had any audience at all?
I do not know, but then again, we're also doing it on YouTube, so people could watch it there as well. And we're recording it there, and so yeah, our very faithful audience member Lulu is taking like 5 classes this summer, and so she's had to say that she can't be here for the while, but hopes to be back in the fall. Which is coming upon us soon. But anyway.
Are we going to be able to see you?
Yeah, Mona, you said you were going to put up your photo at least. Can we get that? I mean, we do. It's good to see people's faces when they're doing it. So.
It's unfair to the audience to.
Well, I mean, sometimes. I mean, I think there's been some issues where they're just not having the camera working, and so sometimes it's just a voice. But I mean, it's preferable to be able to see people. But also, just it's a good idea that like if you don't, if you're having problems and you can't sort of turn your thing off when you're going somewhere, that if you just sort of like have a little like folded something or that you can like cover yourself with. That's not really a great example, but it's just good to like turn off your video when you're not in and mute yourself when you're not in or not talking for a while. So anyone else? All right, without further ado, we continue with the first part of Henry VI, Scene Tertia, enter Charles, Bastard, Alanson, Pucelle.
Dismay not, princes, at this accident, nor grieve that Rowan is so recovered. Care is no cure, but rather corrosive for things that are not to be remedied. Let frantic Talbot triumph for a while, and like a peacock sweep along his tail, or pull his plumes, and take away his train, if Dauphin and the rest will be but ruled.
We have been guided by thee hitherto, and of thy cunning had no diffidence. One sudden foil shall never breed distrust.
Search out thy wit for secret policies, and we will make thee famous throughout the world.
We'll set thy statue in some holy place, and have thee reverenced like a blessed saint. Employ thee then, sweet virgin, for our good.
And thus it must be. This doth Joan devise. By fair persuasions mixed with sugared words, will we entice the Duke of Burgundy to leave the Talbot and to follow us.
Aye, marry, sweeting, if we could do that. France were no place for Henry's warriors, nor should that nation boast itself with us, but be extirped from our provinces.
Forever should they be expelled from France, and not have title of an earldom there.
Your honors shall perceive how I will work to bring this matter to the wished end. Sound of drums. Hark, by the sound of drum you may perceive their powers are marching unto Paris ward.
Here sound an English march.
There goes the Talbot with his colors spread, and all the troops of English after him.
French march.
Now, in the rearward comes the Duke, and his fortune in favor makes him lag behind. Summon a parley. We will talk with him.
Trumpets sound a parley.
A parley with the Duke of Burgundy.
Duke of Burgundy? Paging the Duke of Burgundy. Kitty, are you there?
Who craves the parley with the Burgundy?
The princely Charles of France, thy countryman.
What sayst thou, Charles? For I am marching hence.
Speak, Pucelle, and enchant him with thy words.
Brave Burgundy, undoubted hope of France, stay. Let thy humble handmaid speak to thee.
Speak on, but be not over tedious.
Look on thy country. Look on fertile France and see the cities and the towns defaced by wasting ruin of the cruel foe, as looks the mother on her lowly babe when death does close his tender dying eyes. See the pining malady of France? Behold the wounds, the most unnatural wounds, which thou thyself have given her soulful breast. Oh, turn thy edged sword another way. Strike those that hurt and hurt not those that help. One drop of blood drawn from thy country's bosom should grieve thee more than streams of foreign gore. Return thee therefore with the flood of tears, and wash away thy country's stained spots.
Either she hath bewitched me with her words, or nature makes me suddenly relent.
Besides, all French and France exclaims on thee, doubting thy birth and lawful progeny. Who join thou with but with a lordly nation that will not trust thee but for profit's sake? When Talbot had set footing once in France and fashioned thee that instrument of ill, who then but English Henry will be lord, and thou be thrust out like a fugitive? Call we to mind and mark but this for proof, was not the Duke of Orleans thy foe? And was he not in England's prison? When they heard he was thine enemy, they set him free without his ransom paid in spite of Burgundy and all his friends. See thou fight'st against thy countrymen, and joints with them will be thy slaughtermen. Come, return, thou wandering lord. Charles and the rest will take thee in their arms.
I am vanquished. These haughty words of hers have battered me like roaring cannon shot, and made me almost yield upon my knees. Forgive me, country, and sweet countrymen, and lords, accept this hearty, kind embrace. My forces and my power of men are yours. So farewell, Talbot. I'll no longer trust ye.
Done like a Frenchman, turn and turn again.
Welcome, brave Duke. Thy friendship makes us fresh,
and doth beget new courage in our breasts.
Giselle has bravely played her part in this, and doth deserve the coronet of gold.
Now let us on, my lords, and join our powers, and seek how we may prejudice the foe.
Exeunt. Sine quarta. Enter the King, Gloucester, Winchester, York, Suffolk, Somerset, Warwick, Exeter. To them with his soldiers, Talbot.
My gracious prince and honorable peers, hearing of your arrival in this realm, I have a while given truce unto my wars, to do my duty to my sovereign, in sign whereof this arm that hath reclaimed to your obedience 50 fortresses, 12 cities, and 7 walled towns of strength, beside 500 prisoners of esteem, lets fall his sword before your highness's feet, and with submissive loyalty of heart ascribes the glory of his conquest got, first to my God, and next unto your grace.
Is this the Lord Talbot, Uncle Gloucester, that has been so long resident in France?
Yes, if it please your majesty, my liege.
Welcome, brave captain and victorious lord. When I was young, as yet I am not old, I do remember how my father said, a stouter champion never handled sword. Long since we were resolved of your truth, your faithful service in your toil and war, yet never have you tasted our reward, or been regarded with so much as thanks, because till now we never saw your face. Therefore, stand up, and for these good deserts, we here create you Earl of Shrewsbury, and in our coronation, take your place.
Senate, flourish, exeunt, Manet, Vernon, and Bassett.
Now, sir, to you that were so hot at sea, disgracing of these colors that I wear, in honor of my noble lord of York, dare thou maintain the former words thou speaks?
Yes, sir, as well as you dare patronage the envious barking of your saucy tongue against my lord, the Duke of Somerset.
Sirrah, thy lord I honor as he is.
Why, what is he? As good a man as York.
Hark ye, not so, in witness take ye that.
Strikes him.
Villain, thou knowest the law of arms is such, that whoso draws a sword 'tis present death, or else this blow should broach thy dearest blood. But I'll unto his majesty and crave I may have liberty to venge this wrong. When thou shalt see, I'll meet thee to thy cost.
Well, miscreant, I'll be there as soon as you, and after meet you sooner than you would.
Exeunt. Actus Cordis, Scena Prima. Enter King, Gloucester, Winchester, York, Suffolk, Somerset, Warwick, Talbot, and Governor Exeter.
A bishop set the crown upon his head.
God save King Henry of that name the sixth.
Now, Governor of Paris, take your oath that you elect no other king but him. Esteem none friends but such as are his friends, and none your foes but such as shall pretend malicious practices against his state. This shall ye do, so help you righteous God.
Enter Falstaff.
My gracious sovereign, as I rode from Calais to hasten to your coronation, a letter was delivered to my hands, writ to your grace from the Duke of Burgundy.
Shame to the Duke of Burgundy and thee! I vowed, base knight, when I did meet the next, to tear the garter from thy craven's leg, which I have done because unworthily thou wast installed in that high degree. Pardon me, princely Henry, and the rest. This dastard at the battle of Poitiers, when but in all I was 6,000 strong, and that the French were almost 10 to 1, before we met, or that a stroke was given, like to a trusty squire, did run away, in which assault we lost 1,200 men. Myself and divers gentlemen besides were there surprised and taken prisoners. Then judge, great lords, if I have done amiss, or whether that such cowards ought to wear this ornament of knighthood, yea or no?
To say the truth, this fact was infamous, and ill-beseeming any common man, much more a knight, a captain, and a leader.
When first this order was ordained, my lords, knights of the Garter were of noble birth, valiant and virtuous, full of haughty courage, such as were grown to credit by the wars, not fearing death, nor shrinking for distress, but always resolute. In most extremes, he then that is not furnished in this sort doth but usurp the sacred name of knight, profaning this most honorable order, and should, if I were worthy to be judge, be quite degraded like a hedge-born swain that doth presume to boast of gentle blood.
Stay to thy countrymen. Thou hearest my doom. Be packing, therefore, thou that wast a knight. Henceforth we banish thee on pain of death. And now, Lord Protector, view the letter sent from our uncle Duke of Burgundy.
What means his grace that he hath changed his style? No more but plain and bluntly, hath he forgot he is his sovereign? Or doth this churlish superscription pretend some alteration in goodwill? What's here? I have upon a special cause, moved with compassion of my country's wrack, together with the pitiful complaints of such as your oppression feeds upon, forsaken your pernicious faction and joined with Charles, the rightful king of France. Oh, monstrous treachery! Can this be so? That in alliance, amity, and oaths, there should be found such false dissembling guile?
What? Does my uncle Burgundy revolt?
He doth, my lord, and is become your foe.
Is that the worst this letter does contain?
It is the worst and all, my lord, he writes.
Well then, Lord Talbot there shall talk with him, and give him chastisement for this abuse. How say you, my lord, are you not content?
Content, my liege? Yes, but I am prevented. I should have begged, I might have been employed.
And gather strength, and march unto him straight. Let him perceive how ill we brook this treason, and what offense it is to flout his friends.
I go, my lord, in heart desiring still, you may behold confusion of your foes.
Enter Vernon and Bassett.
Grant me the combat, gracious sovereign.
And me, my lord, grant me the combat too.
And this is mine, sweet Henry. Favor him.
Be patient, lords, and give them leave to speak. Say, gentlemen, what makes you thus exclaim, and wherefore crave you combat, or with whom?
With him, my lord, for he hath done me wrong.
And I with him, for he hath done me wrong.
What is that wrong whereof you both complain? First let me know, and then I'll answer you.
Crossing the sea from England into France, this fellow here with envious carping tongue upbraided me about the rose I wear, saying the sanguine color of the leaves did represent my master's blushing cheeks. And stubbornly he did repugn the truth about a certain question in the law argued betwixt the Duke of York and him. Another vile and ignominious terms, in confutation of which rude reproach and in defense of my lord's worthiness, I crave the benefit of law of arms.
And that is my petition, noble lord. For though he seem with forged quaint conceit to set a gloss upon his bold intent, yet know, my lord, I was provoked by him, and he first took exceptions at this badge, pronouncing that the paleness of this flower bewrayed the faintness of my master's heart.
Will not this malice, Somerset, be left?
Your private grudge, my lord of York, will out, though ne'er so cunningly as you smothered it.
Good Lord! What madness rules and brain-sick men, when for so slight and frivolous a cause such factious simulation shall arise? Good cousins, both, of York and Somerset, quiet yourselves, I pray, and be at peace.
Let this dissension first be tried by fight, and then your highness shall command a peace.
This quarrel toucheth none but us alone. Betwixt ourselves, let us decide it then.
There is my pledge accepted, Somerset.
Nay, let it rest where it began at first.
Confirm it so, mine honorable lord.
Confirm it so? Confounded be your strife, and perish ye with your audacious prate. Presumptuous vassals, are you not ashamed with this immodest, clamorous outrage to trouble and disturb the king and us? And you, my lords, methinks you do not well to bear with their perverse objections, much less to take occasion from their mouths to raise a mutiny betwixt yourselves. Let me persuade you take a better course.
It grieves his highness. Good my lords, be friends.
Come hither, you that would be combatants. Henceforth I charge you, as you love our favor, quite to forget this quarrel and the cause. And you, my lords, remember where we are, in France, amongst a fickle, wavering nation. If they perceive dissension in our looks, and that within ourselves we disagree, how will their grudging stomachs be provoked to willful disobedience and rebel? Besides, what infamy will there arise when foreign princes shall be certified that for a toy, a thing of no regard, King Henry's peers and chief nobility destroyed themselves and lost the realm of France? Think upon the conquest of my father, my tender years, and let us not forgo that for a trifle that was bought with blood. Let me be emperor in this doubtful strife. I see no reason, if I wear this rose, that anyone should therefore be suspicious. I am more inclined to Somerset than York. Both are my kinsmen, and I love them both. As well they may upbraid me with my crown, because, forsooth, the King of Scots is crowned. But your discretions better can persuade that I am able to instruct or teach. And therefore, as we hither came in peace, so let us still continue peace and love. Cousin of York, we institute your grace to be our regent in these parts of France. And good my lord of Somerset, unite your troops of horsemen with his bands of foot, and like true subjects, sons of your progenitors, go cheerfully together and digest your angry choler on your enemies. Ourself, the Lord Protector, and the rest, after some respite, will return to Calais, from thence to England, where I hope I want to be presented by your victories. With Charles, Anson, and that traitorous rout.
Exeunt. Manet, York, Warwick, Exeter, Vernon.
My lord of York, I promise you, the king prettily methought did play the orator.
And so he did, but yet I like it not, in that he wears the badge of Somerset.
Tush! That was but his fancy. Blame him not. I dare presume, sweet prince. He thought no harm.
And if I wish he did. But let it rest. Others' affairs must now be managed.
Exeunt. Flourish. Mane Exeter.
Well didst thou, Richard, to suppress thy voice. For had the passions of thy heart burst out, I fear we should have seen deciphered there more rancorous spite, more furious raging broils, than yet can be imagined or supposed. But howsoe'er, no simple man that sees this jarring discord of the nobility, this shouldering of each other in the court, this factious banding of their favorites, but that it doth presage some ill event. 'Tis much when scepters are in children's hands, but more when envy breeds unkind division. There comes the ruin, there begins confusion.
Exit. Enter Talbot with trump and drum before Bordeaux.
Go to the gates of Bordeaux, trumpeter. Summon their general onto the wall.
Sounds. Enter General aloft.
English John Talbot, captains call you forth, servant in arms to Harry, King of England, and thus he would. Open your city gates, be humble to us, call my sovereign yours, and do him homage as obedient subjects, and I'll withdraw me and my bloody power. But if you frown upon this proffered peace, you tempt the fury of my three attendants, lean famine, quartering steel, and climbing fire, who in a moment, even with the earth, shall lay your stately and ire-braving towers if you forsake the offer of their love.
Thou ominous and fearful owl of death, our nation's terror and their bloody scourge, the period of thy tyranny approacheth. On us thou canst not enter but by death. For I protest we are well fortified and strong enough to issue out and fight if thou retire. The dolphin, well appointed, stands with the snares of war to tangle thee. On either hand thee there are squadrons pitched to wall thee from the liberty of flight. And no way canst thou turn thee for redress, but death doth front thee with apparent spoil, and pale destruction meet thee in the face. 10,000 French have ta'en the sacrament to rue their dangerous artillery upon no Christian soul but English Talbot. Lo, there thou standst, a breathing valiant man of an invincible, unconquered spirit. This is the latest glory of thy praise, that I, thy enemy, drew thee withal. For ere the glass that now begins to run finish the process of this sandy hour, these eyes that see now well colored shall see thee withered, bloody, pale, and dead. Far off, hark, hark, the dolphin's drum, a warning bell sings heavy music to thy timorous soul, and mine shall ring thy dire departure out. Exit.
He fables not. I hear the enemy. Out some light horsemen and peruse their wings. Oh, negligent and heedless discipline, how are we parked and bounded in a pail? A little herd of England's timorous deer, mazed with a yelping kennel of French curs. If we be English deer, be then in blood, not rascal-like to fall down with a pinch, but rather moody mad, and desperate stags turn on the bloody hounds with heads of steel, and make the cowards stand aloof at bay. Sell every man his life as dear as mine, and they shall find dear, dear of us, my friend. God and St. George, Talbot and England's right, prosper our colors in this dangerous fight.
Enter a messenger that meets York. Enter York with trumpet and many soldiers. Oh, the noble Duke of York. Which is he?
Okay. Are not the speedy scouts returned again? The dog, the mighty army of the Dolphin?
They are returned, my lord, and give it out that he has marched to Bordeaux with his power to fight with Talbot. As he marched along, by your espials were discovered 2 mightier troops than that the Dolphin led, which joined with him and made their march for Bordeaux.
A plague upon that villain Somerset, that thus delays my promised supply of horsemen that were levied for this siege. Renowned Talbot doth expect my aid, and I am louted by a traitor villain, and cannot help the noble chevalier. God comfort him in this necessity. If he miscarry, farewell wars in France.
Enter another messenger.
Thou princely leader of our English strength, ever so needful on the earth of France, spur to the rescue of the noble Talbot, who is girdled with the waist of iron and hem about with the grim destruction. To Bordeaux, warlike Duke, to Bordeaux, York. Else farewell, Talbot, France and England's honor.
O God, that Somerset, who in proud heart doth stop my cornets, were in Talbot's place. So should we save a valiant gentleman by forfeiting a traitor and a coward. Mad ire and wrathful fury makes me weep, that thus we die while remiss traitors sleep.
Or send some succor to the distressed lord.
He dies, we lose. I break my warlike word. We mourn, France smiles. We lose, they daily get all long of this vile traitor Somerset.
Then God take mercy on brave Talbot's soul, and on his son, young John, who 2 hours since I met in travail towards his warlike father. The 7 years did not Talbot see his son, and now they meet, where both their lives are done.
Alas, what joy shall noble Talbot have to bid his young son welcome to his grave. Away, vexation almost stops my breath, that sundered friends greet in the hour of death. Lucy, farewell, no more my fortune can, but curse the cause I cannot aid the man. Maine, Blois, Poitiers, and Tours are won away. Long all of Somerset and his delay.
Exit.
Thus while the vulture of sedition feeds in the bosom of such great commanders, sleeping neglection doth betray to loss the conquest of our scarce cold conqueror, that ever-living man of memory, Henry V. Whiles they each other cross, lives, honors, lands, and all hurry to loss.
Enter Somerset with his army.
It is too late. I cannot send them now. This expedition was by York and Talbot, just rashly plotted. All our general forces will be sadly for the very town. Be buckled with the overdaring Talbot, has sullied his gloss of former honor. By this unheedful, desperate, wild adventure, York set him on to fight and to die in shame. Thus, Talbot dead, great York might bear the name.
Here is Sir William Lucy, who with me set from our o'ermatched forces forth for aid.
How now, Sir William? Whither were you sent?
Whither, my lord, from Broughton, so Lord Talbot, who ringed about with bold adversity, cries out for noble York and Somerset to beat assaying death from his weak regions. And whilst the honorable captain there drops bloody sweat from his war-wearied limbs, and in advantage lingering looks for rescue, you his false hopes, the trust of England's honor, keep off aloof with worthless emulation. Let not your private discord keep away the levied succors that should lend him aid, while he, renowned noble gentleman, yield up his life into a world of odds. Orleans the bastard Charles, Burgundy, Alison, Regard, compass him about, and Talbot perish by your default.
York sent him on. York should have sent him aid.
And York is fast upon your grace, exclaims, swearing that you withhold his levied host collected for this expedition.
York lies. He might have sent and had the horse. I owe him little duty and less love, and I take fond scorn to fawn on him by sending.
The fraud of England, not the force of France, hath now entrapped the noble-minded Talbot. Never to England shall he bear his life, but dies betrayed to fortune by your strife.
Come, go. I will dispatch the horsemen straight. Within 6 hours they will be at his aid.
Too late comes rescue. He is ta'en or slain, for fly he could not. If he would have fled and fly, would Talbot never thought he might?
If he be dead, brave Talbot, then adieu.
His fame lives in the world, his shame in you.
Exeunt. Enter Talbot and his son.
O young John Talbot, I did send for thee to tutor thee in stratagems of war, that Talbot's name might be in thee revived, when sapless age and weak, unable limbs should bring thy father to his drooping chair. But O malignant and ill-boding stars, now thou art come unto a feast of death, a terrible and unavoided danger. Therefore, dear boy, mount on my swiftest horse, and I'll direct thee how thou shalt escape by sudden flight. Come, dally not, be gone.
Is my name Talbot? And am I your son? And shall I fly? Oh, if you love my mother, dishonor not her honorable name to make a bastard and a slave of me. The world will say he is not Talbot's blood that basely fled when noble Talbot stood.
Fly to revenge my death, if I be slain.
He that flies so will ne'er return again.
If we both stay, we both are sure to die.
Then let me stay, and father, do you fly. Your loss is great, so your regard should be. My worth unknown, no loss is known in me. Upon my death, the French can little boast. In yours they will, in you all hopes are lost. Flight cannot stain the honor that you have won, but mine it will, that no exploit have done. You fled for vantage, everyone will swear. But if I bow, they'll say it was for fear. There is no hope that ever I will stay. If the first hour I shrink and run away, here on my knee I beg mortality rather than life preserved with infamy.
Shall all thy mother's hopes lie in one tomb?
I, rather than I'll shame my mother's womb.
Upon my blessing, I command thee go.
To fight I will, but not to fly the foe.
Part of thy father may be saved in thee.
No part of him, but will be shame in me.
Thou never hast renown, nor canst not lose it.
Yes, your renowned name. Shall flight abuse it?
Thy father's charge shall clear thee from the stain.
You cannot witness for me being slain. If death be so apparent, then both fly.
And leave my followers here to fight and die? My age was never tainted with such shame.
And shall my youth be guilty of such blame? No more can I be severed from your side than can yourself in twain divide. Stay, go, do what you will, the like do I. For live I will not, if my father die.
Then here I take my leave of thee, fair son, born to eclipse thy life this afternoon. Come, side by side, together live and die, and soul with soul from France to heaven fly.
Exit. Alarums, excursions, wherein Talbot's son is hemmed about, and Talbot rescues him.
St. George and victory! Fight, soldiers, fight! The regent hath with Talbot broke his word, and left us to the rage of France his sword. Where is John Talbot? Pause and take thy breath. I gave thee life and rescued thee from death.
Oh, twice my father, twice am I thy son. The life thou gavest me first was lost and done, till with thy warlike sword, despite of fate to my determined time, thou gavest new date.
When from the dolphin's crest thy sword struck fire, It warmed thy father's heart with proud desire of bold-faced victory, then leaden age, quickened with youthful spleen and warlike rage, beat down Alençon, Orleans, Burgundy, and from the pride of Gallia rescued thee. The ireful bastard Orleans that drew blood from thee, my boy, and had the maidenhood of thy first fight, I soon encountered, and interchanging blows, I quickly shed some of his bastard blood, and in disgrace bespoke him thus: contaminated, base, and misbegotten blood I spill of thine, mean and right poor for that pure blood of mine, which thou didst force from Talbot, my brave boy, here proposing the bastard to destroy. Came in strong rescue, speak thy father's care. Art thou not weary, John? How dost thou fare? Wilt thou yet leave the battle, boy, and fly, now thou art sealed the son of chivalry? Fly to revenge my death when I am dead. The help of one stands me in little stead. Oh, too much folly is it, well I wot, to hazard all our lives in one small boat. If I today die not with Frenchmen's rage, tomorrow I shall die with mickle age. By me they nothing gain, and if I stay, 'tis but the shortening of my life one day. If thee thy mother dies, our household's name, my death's revenge, thy youth, and England's fame. All these and more we hazard by thy stay. All these are saved if thou wilt fly away.
The sword of Orleans hath not made me smart. These words of yours draw lifeblood from my heart. On that advantage, bought with such a shame, to save a paltry life and slay bright fame before young Talbot from old Talbot fly, the coward horse that bears me fall and die, and like me, to the peasant boys of France, to be shame, scorn, and subject of mischance, surely by all the glory you have won. And if I fly, I am not Talbot's son. Then talk no more of flight, it is no boot. If son to Talbot, die at Talbot's foot.
Then follow thou thy desperate sire of Crete. Thou Icarus, thy life to me is sweet. If thou wilt fight, fight by thy father's side, and commendable prove, let's die in pride.
Exit. Alarum, excursions, enter old Talbot, led.
Where is my other life? Mine own is gone. Oh, where is young Talbot? Where is valiant John? Triumphant death smeared with captivity. Young Talbot's valor makes me smile at thee. When he perceived me shrink, and on my knee, his bloody sword he brandished over me, and like a hungry lion did commence rough deeds of rage and stern impatience. But when my angry garden stood alone, tendering my ruin and assailed of none, dizzied-eyed fury and great rage of heart suddenly made him from my side to start into the clustering battle of the French, and in that sea of blood my boy did drench his overmounting spirit, and there died my Icarus, my blossom in his pride.
Enter with John Talbot, born.
Oh, my dear lord, lo, where your son is born.
Thou antique death, which laughs us here to scorn, anon from thy insulting tyranny, coupled in bonds of perpetuity, two Talbots winged through the litter sky, in thy despite shall scape mortality. O thou whose wounds become hard-favored death, speak to thy father ere thou yield thy breath. Brave death by speaking, whether he will or no. Imagine him a Frenchman and thy foe. Poor boy, he smiles, methinks, as who should say, Had death been French, then death had died today. Come, come, and lay him in his father's arms. My spirit can no longer bear these harms. Soldiers, adieu. I have what I would have. Now my old arms are young Talbot's grave.
Dies. Enter Charles, Alanson, Burgundy, Bastard, and Pucelle.
Had York and Somerset brought rescue in, we should have found a bloody day of this.
How the young whelp of Talbot's raging wood did flesh his puny sword in Frenchman blood.
Once I encountered him, and thus I said, "Thou, maiden youth, be vanquished by a maid." But with a proud, majestic, high scorn, he answered thus, "Young Talbot was not born to be the pillage of a gigolad wench." So, rushing in the bowels of the French, he left me proudly. An unworthy fight.
Doubtless he would have made a noble knight. See where he lies, inhearsed in the arms of the most bloody nurser of his harms.
Hew them to pieces, hack their bones asunder, whose life was England's glory, Gallia's wonder.
Oh no, forbear, for that which we have fled during the life, let us not wrong it dead.
Enter Lucy.
Herald, conduct me to the Dolphin's tent, to know who hath obtained the glory of the day.
On what submissive message art thou sent?
Submission, Dolphin? 'Tis a mere French word. We English warriors wot not what it means. I came to know what prisoners thou hast taken, and to survey the bodies of the dead.
For prisoners, ask'st thou? Hell our prison is. But tell me whom thou seekst.
Where's the great Alcide of the field? Valiant Lord Talbot, Earl of Shrewsbury, created for his rare success in arms. Great Earl of Washford, Waterford, and Valence, Lord Talbot of Goodread and Urchinfield, Lord Strange of Blackmere, Lord Theurden of Alton, Lord Cromwell of Wingfield, Lord Furnival of Sheffield, the thrice victorious Lord of Falconbridge, Knight of the Noble Order of St. George, worthy St. Michael of the Golden Fleece, great Marshal to Henry VI of all his wars within the realm of France.
Here's a silly, stately style indeed. The Turk that 52 kingdoms hath writes not so tedious a style as this. Him that though magnifies will all these tides, stinking and fly-born, here at our feet.
Talbot slain, the Frenchman's only scourge, your kingdom's terror and black nemesis. Oh, were mine eyeballs into bullets turned, that I in rage might shoot them at your faces. Oh, that I could but call these dead to life. It were enough to fight the realm of France, were but its picture left amongst you here. It would amaze the proudest of you all. Give me their bodies, that I may bear them hence and give them burial, as beseems their worth.
I think this upstart is old Talbot's ghost. He speaks with such a proud, commanding spirit. For God's sakes, let him have them. To keep them here, they would but stink and putrefy the air.
Go take their bodies hence.
I'll bear them hence, but from their ashes shall be reared a phoenix that shall make all France afeard.
So we be rid of them, do with him what thou wilt. And now to Paris, in this conquering vein, all will be ours, now bloody Talbot slain.
Exit. Scena secunda. Senate. Enter. King, Gloucester, and Exeter.
Have you perused the letters from the Pope, the Emperor, and the Earl of Armagnac?
I have, my lord, and their intent is this. They humbly sue unto your excellence to have a godly peace concluded of between the realms of England and of France.
And how does your grace affect their motion?
Well, my good lord, and as the only means to stop effusion of our Christian blood and establish quietness on every side.
Ay, marry, uncle. I always thought it was both impious and unnatural that such inanity and bloody strife should reign among professors of one faith.
Beside, my lord, the sooner to effect and surer binds this knot of amity, the Earl of Armagnac, near knit to Charles, a man of great authority in France, proffers his only daughter to your grace in marriage with a large and sumptuous dowry.
Marriage, uncle? Alas, my years are young, and fitter is my study and my books, the wanton dalliance of the paramour. We call the ambassadors, and as you please, so let them have their answers, every one. I shall be well content with any choice tends to God's glory and my country's weal.
Enter Winchester and 3 ambassadors.
What? Is my Lord of Winchester installed and called unto a cardinal's degree? Then I perceive that will be verified. Henry V did sometime prophesy, if once he come to be a cardinal, he'll make his cap co-equal with the crown.
My lords ambassadors, your several suits have been considered and debated on. Your purpose is both good and reasonable, and therefore are we certainly resolved to draw conditions of a friendly peace, which by my lord of Winchester we mean shall be transported presently to France.
And for the proffer of my lord your master, I have informed his highness so at large, as liking of the lady's virtuous gifts, her beauty, and the value of her dower, he doth intend she shall be England's queen.
In argument and proof of which contract, bear this jewel, pledge of my affection, and so, my lord protector, see them guarded and safely brought to Dover, where in ship commit them to the fortune of the sea.
Exeunt. You're muted, my cardinal.
There you go. Stay, my lord legate. You shall first receive the sum of money which I promise should be delivered to his holiness for clothing me in these brave ornaments.
I will attend upon your lordship's leisure.
Now, Winchester will not submit, I trow, or be inferior to the proudest peer. Humphrey of Gloucester, thou shalt well perceive that neither in birth or for authority the bishop will be overborne by thee. I'll either make thee stoop and bend thy knee, or sack this country with a mutiny.
Exeunt. Scene Tertia. Enter Charles, Burgundy, Alanson, Bastard, Renier, and Joan.
These news, my lords, make cheer our drooping spirits. 'Tis said the stout Parisians do revolt and turn again unto the warlike French.
Then march to Paris, Royal Charles of France, and keep not back your powers in dalliance.
Peace be amongst them if they turn to us, else ruin combat with their palaces.
Enter scouts. Success unto our valiant general and happiness to his accomplices.
What tidings send our scouts? I prithee speak.
The English army that divided into 2 parties is now conjoined in one and means to give you battle presently.
Somewhat too sudden stirs the warning is, but we will presently provide for them.
Burgundy, I trust the ghost of Talbot. 112, Burgundy, I trust the ghost of Talbot is not there.
Sorry. I trust the ghost of Talbot is not there. Now he is gone, my lord. You need not fear.
Of all base passions, fear is most accursed. Command the conquest, Charles, it shall be thine. Let Henry fret, and all the world repine.
on, my lords, and France be fortunate.
Exeunt. Alarum. Excursion. Enter Joan de Pucelle.
The region conquers and the Frenchmen fly. Now help ye charming spells and periaps, and ye choose spirits that admonish me and give me signs of future accidents.
Thunder.
You speedy helpers that are substitutes unto the lordly monarch of the north, appear and aid me in this enterprise.
Enter fiends.
This speedy and quick appearance argues proof of your accustomed diligence to me. Now, ye familiar spirits that are called out of the powerful regions under earth, help me this once, that France may get the field.
They walk and speak not.
Oh, hold me not with silence over long, where I was wont to feed you with my blood. I'll lop a member off and give it you in earnest of a further benefit, so you do condescend to help me now.
They hang their heads.
No hope? No hope to have redress? My body shall pay recompense if you will grant my suit.
They shake their heads.
Cannot my body nor blood sacrifice entreat you to your worried forbearance? Then take my soul, my body, soul, and all, before that England give the French the foil. See, they forsake me. Now the time has come that France must veil her lofty plumed crest and let her head fall into England's lap. My ancient incantations are too weak, and hell's too strong for me to buckle with. Now, France, thy glory droopeth to the dust.
Exit. Excursions. Burgundy and York fight hand to hand. French fly.
Damsel of France, I think I have you fast. Unchain your spirits now with spelling charms, and try if they can gain your liberty. A goodly prize fit for the devil's grace. See how the ugly witch doth bend her brows, as if with Circe she would change my shape.
Changed to a worse shape thou canst not be.
Oh, Charles the Dauphin is a proper man. No shape but his can please your dainty eye.
Plaguing mischief light on Charles and thee, and may you both be suddenly surprised by bloody hands in sleeping on your beds.
Spell-banning hag, enchantress, hold thy tongue.
I prithee, give me leave to curse a while.
Curse, miscreant, when thou comest to the stake.
Exeunt. Alarum. Enter Suffolk with Margaret in his hand. Be what thou wilt, thou art my prisoner. Gazes on her. O fairest beauty, do not fear nor fly, for I will touch thee but with reverent hands. I kiss these fingers for eternal peace, and lay them gently to thy tender side. Who art thou, say, that I may honor thee?
Margaret my name, and daughter to a king, the king of Naples, whosoe'er thou art.
An earl I am, and Suffolk am I called. Be not offended, nature's miracle, thou art allotted to be ta'en by me. So doth the swan her downy signet save, keeping them prisoner underneath his wings. Yet, if this servile usage once offend, go, and be free again as Suffolk's friend. She is going. Oh, stay, stay! I have no power to let her pass. My hand would free her, but my heart says no. Plays the sun upon the glassy stream, swirling another counterfeited beam. So seems this gorgeous beauty to mine eyes. Fain would I woo her, yet I dare not speak. I'll call for pen and ink and write my mind. Oh, fie, de la Pole, disable not thyself. Hast not a tongue? Is she not here? Wilt thou be daunted at a woman's sight? Aye, beauty's princely majesty is such confounds the tongue and makes the senses rough.
Say, Earl of Suffolk, if thy name be so, what ransom must I pay before I pass? For I perceive I am thy prisoner.
How canst thou tell she will deny thy suit before thou make a trial of her love?
Why speak'st thou not? What ransom must I pay? This not on?
She's beautiful, and therefore to be wooed. She is a woman, and therefore to be won.
Wilt thou accept of ransom, yea or no, chat?
Fond man, remember thou hast a wife. Then how can Margaret be thy paramour?
I were best to leave him, for he will not hear.
There is all marred. There lies a cooling card.
Oh, he talks at random, sure the man is mad.
Yet a dispensation may be had.
And yet, I would that you would answer me.
I'll win this lady Margaret. For whom? Oh, why for my king. Tush, that's a wooden thing.
Oh, God. He talks of wood? Oh, it is some carpenter.
Yet so my fancy may be satisfied and peace established between these realms. And there remains a scruple in that too. For though her father be the king of Naples, Duke of Anjou and Maine, yet is he poor, and our nobility will scorn the match.
Hear ye, captain, are you not at leisure?
Shall be so. Disdain they ne'er so much. Henry is youthful and will quickly yield. Madam, I have a secret to reveal.
What? Though I be enthralled, he seems a knight, and will not any way dishonor me.
Lady, vouchsafe to listen what I say.
Perhaps I shall be rescued by the French, and then I need not crave his courtesy.
Sweet madam, give me hearing in a cause.
Tush, women have been captive ere now.
Lady, wherefore talk you so?
I cry you mercy, 'tis but quid for quo.
Say, gentle princess, would you not suppose your bondage happy to be made a queen?
To be a queen in bondage is more vile than is a slave in base servility, for princes should be free.
And so shall you, if happy England's royal king be free.
Why, what concerns his freedom unto me?
I'll undertake to make thee Henry's queen, to put a golden scepter in thy hand, and set a precious crown upon thy head, if thou wilt consent to be my...
What?
His love.
I am unworthy to be Henry's wife.
No, gentle madam, I unworthy am to woo so fair a dame to be his wife, and have no portion in the choice myself. How say you, madam? Are ye so content?
Oh, and if my father please, I am content.
Then call our captains and our colours forth, and madam, at your father's castle walls will crave a parley to convey with him. Sound, and to Regnier on the walls. See, Regnier, thy daughter's prisoner.
To whom?
To me.
Suffolk, what remedy? I am a soldier and inapt to weep or to exclaim on fortune's fickleness.
Yes, there is remedy enough, my lord. Consent, and for thy honor give consent, thy daughter shall be wedded to my king, whom I with pain have wooed and won thereto, and this her easy held imprisonment hath gained thy daughter princely liberty.
Speak Suffolk as he thinks.
Fair Margaret knows that Suffolk doth not flatter face or fame.
Upon thy princely warrant I descend to give the answer of thy just demand.
And here I will expect thy coming. Trumpet sound, enter Regnier.
Welcome, brave Earl, into our territories. Command in Anjou what you would honor please.
Thanks, Renier. Happy for so sweet a child, fit to be made companion with a king. What answer makes your grace unto my suit?
Since thou dost deign to woo her little worth, to be princely bride of such a lord, upon condition I may quietly enjoy my own the country, Maine and Anjou, from oppression or stroke of work, my daughter shall be Henry's, if he please.
That is a ransom. I deliver her, and those 2 counties I will undertake your grace shall well and quietly enjoy.
Then I agree to Henry's royal name, and deputy unto this gracious king, give thee her hand for a sign of plighted faith.
Renier of France, I give thee kingly thanks, because this is in traffic of a king, and yet methinks I could be well content to be mine own attorney in this case. I'll over then to England with this news, and make this marriage to be solemnized. So farewell, Renier. Set this diamond safe in golden palaces, as it be time.
I do embrace thee as I would embrace the Christian prince, King Henry, were he here.
Farewell, my lord. Good wishes, praise, and prayers shall Suffolk ever have of Margaret's.
She's gone. Farewell, sweet madam, but hark you, Margaret, no princely commendations to my king?
Such commendations as become a maid, a virgin, and his servant say to him.
Words sweetly placed and modestly directed, but madam, I must trouble you again. No loving token to his majesty?
Yes, my good lord, a pure, unspotted heart, never yet taint with love, I send the king.
And this withal.
That for thyself I will not so presume to send such peevish tokens to a king.
Oh, work thou for myself. But Suffolk, stay. Thou mayst not wander in that labyrinth. There minotaurs and ugly treasons lurk. Solicit Henry with her wondrous praise. Bethink thee on her virtues that surmount mad natural graces, but extinguish art. Repeat their semblance often on the seas, that when thou comest to kneel at Henry's feet, thou mayst bereave him of his wits and wonder. Exit. Enter York, Warwick, Shepherd, Pucelle.
Bring forth that sorceress condemned to burn.
Shepherd.
Ah, Joan, this kills thy father's heart outright. And I saw in every country far and near, and now it is my chance to find thee out. Must I behold thy timeless cruel death? Ah, Joan, sweet daughter Joan, I'll die with thee.
Decrepit miser, base ignoble wretch. I'm descended of a gentler blood. Thou art no father nor no friend of mine.
Oh, fie. My lord, to please you, 'tis not so. I did beget her, all the parish knows. Her mother liveth yet, can testify she was the first fruit of my bachelorship.
Graceless, wilt thou deny thy parentage?
This argues what her kind of life hath been, wicked and vile, and so her death concludes.
Oh, fie, Joan, that thou wilt be so obstacle. God knows thou art a gollop of my flesh, and for thy sake have I shed many a tear. Deny me not, I prithee, gentle Joan.
Peasant Avant, you have suborned this man of purpose to obscure my noble birth.
Oh, 'tis true, I gave a noble to the priest the morning that I was wedded to her mother. Kneel down and take my blessing. Good my girl, wilt thou not stoop? Now cursed be the time of thy nativity. I would the milk thy mother gave thee when thou suckest her breath had been a little ratsbane for thy sake, or else when thou didst keep my lambs, I fear there were some ravenous wolf had eaten thee. Dost thou deny thy father? Cursed drab, oh, burn her, hanging is too good.
Exit.
Take her away, for she hath lived too long to fill the world with vicious qualities.
First, let me tell you whom you have condemned. Not me, begotten of a shepherd swain, but issued from the progeny of kings, virtuous and holy, chosen from above by inspiration of celestial grace, to work exceeding miracles on earth. I never had to do with wicked spirits, but you, that are polluted with your lusts, stained with the guileless bloods of innocence, corrupt and tainted with 1,000 vices because you want the grace that others have. You judge a straight a thing impossible to compass wonders, but by help of devils. No misconceived Joan of Eyre hath been a virgin from her tender infancy, chaste and immaculate in every thought, whose maiden blood, thus vigorously effused, will cry for vengeance at the gates of heaven.
Aye, aye, away with her to execution.
And hark thee, sirs, because she's a maid, spare for no faggots. Let there be enow. Place barrels of pitch upon the fatal stake, that so her torture may be shortened.
Nothing turn your unrelenting hearts. Then, Joan, discover thine infirmity that warranteth by law to be thy privilege. I am with child, ye bloody homicides. Murder then not the fruit from my womb, although you hail me to a violent death.
Now, heaven forfend, the holy maid with child?
The greatest miracle that e'er ye wrought. Is all your strict preciseness come to this?
She and the dolphin have been juggling. I did imagine what would be her refuge.
Well, go to. We'll have no bastards live, especially since Charles must father it.
You were deceived. My child is none of his. It was Alanson that enjoined my love.
Alanson? That notorious Machiavel? It dies, and if it had 1,000 lives.
Oh, give me leave, I have deluded you. 'Twas neither Charles nor yet the Duke I name, but Renier, King of Naples, that prevailed.
A married man? That's most intolerable.
Why, here's a girl. I think she knows not well. There were so many whom she may accuse.
It's sign she hath been liberal and free.
And yet, forsooth, she is a virgin pure. Strumpet, thy words condemn thy brat and thee. Use no entreaty, for it is in vain.
Lead me hence, with whom I leave my curse. May never glorious sun reflect his beams upon the country where you make abode, but darkness and the gloomy shade of death environ you, till mischief and despair drive you to break your necks or hang yourselves.
Yeah.
Break thou in pieces and consume to ashes, thou foul, accursed minister of hell.
Lord Regent, I do greet your excellence with letters of commission from the king. For know, my lords, the states of Christendom, moved with remorse of these outrageous broils, have earnestly implored a general peace betwixt our nation and the aspiring French, and here at hand the Dauphin and his train approacheth to confer about some matter.
Is all our travel turned to this effect? After the slaughter of so many peers, so many captains, gentlemen, and soldiers, that in this quarrel have been overthrown and sold their bodies for their country's benefit, shall we at last conclude effeminate peace? Have we not lost most part of all the towns by treason, falsehood, and by treachery our great progenitors had conquered? Oh, Warwick, Warwick, I foresee with grief the utter loss of all the realm of France.
Be patient, York. If we conclude a peace, it shall be with such strict and severe covenants as little shall the Frenchman gain thereby.
Enter Charles, Alanson, Bastard, Renier.
Since, lords of England, it is thus agreed that peaceful truce shall be proclaimed in France, we come to be informed by yourselves what the conditions of that league must be.
Speak, Winchester, for boiling choler chokes the hollow passage of my poisoned voice by sight of these our baleful enemies.
Charles and the rest, it is enacted thus, that in regard King Henry gives consent of mere compassion and of lenity to ease your country of distressful war and suffer you to breathe in fruitful peace. You shall become true liegemen to his crown, and Charles, upon condition thou wilt swear to pay him tribute and submit thyself, thou should be placed as viceroy under him and still enjoy thy regal dignity.
Must he be then a shadow of himself? Adorn his temples with a coronet, and yet in substance?
And yet his substance and authority retain but privilege of a private man? This proffer is absurd and reasonless.
It is known already that I am possessed with more than half the Gallian territories, and therein reverence for their lawful king. Shall I, for lucre of the rest unvanquished, detract so much from that prerogative as to be called a viceroy of the whole? No, Lord Ambassador, I'll rather keep that which I have, than coveting for more be cast from possibility of all.
Insulting Charles! Hast thou by secret means used intercession to obtain a league, and now the matter grows to compromise? Standst thou aloof upon comparison? Either accept the title thou usurpst, of benefit proceeding from our king, and not of any challenge of desert, or we will plague thee with these incessant wars.
My lord, you do not well in obstinacy to go into the course of this contract. If once it's neglected 10-1, we shall not find like opportunity.
To say the truth, it is your policy to save your subjects from such massacre and ruthless slaughters that are daily seen by our proceeding in hostility, and therefore take this compact of a truce, although you break it when your pleasure serves.
How say'st thou, Charles? Shall our conditions stand?
It shall. Only reserved you claim no interest in any of our towns of garrison.
Then swear allegiance to his majesty, as thou art knight, never to disobey, nor be rebellious to the crown of England. Thou nor thy nobles to the crown of England. So now dismiss your army when you please, hang up your ensigns, and let your drums be still. For here we entertain a solemn peace.
Exeunt. Actus Quintus, enter Suffolk in conference with King Gloucester in Exeter. Your Majesty, she was just amazing. You're not.
Your wondrous rare description, noble Earl, of beauty's Margaret hath astonished me. Her virtuous grace with external gifts. Different love settled passions in my heart, unlike as rigor of tempestuous gusts provokes the mightiest hulk against the tide. So am I driven by breath of her renown, either to suffer shipwreck or arrive where I may have fruition of her love.
Tush, my good lord, this superficial tale is but a preface of her worthy praise. The chief perfection of that lovely dame, had I sufficient skill to utter them, would make volumes of enticing lines, able to ravish any dull conceit, and which is more, she is not so divine, so full replete with choice of all delights, but with his humble lowliness of mind, she is content to be at your command. Command, I mean, of virtuous, chaste intents, to love and honor Henry as her lord.
And otherwise will Henry never presume. Therefore, my lord protector, give consent that Margaret may be England's royal queen.
So should I give consent to flatter sin? You know, my lord, your highness is betrothed unto another lady of esteem. How shall we then dispense with that contract, and not deface your honor with reproach?
As it doth a ruler with unlawful oaths, or one that at a triumph, having vowed to try his strength, forsaketh yet the list by reason of his adversary's odds. A poor earl's daughter is unequal odds, and therefore may be broke without offence.
Why, what I pray is Margaret more than that. Her father is no better than an earl, although in glorious titles he excel.
Yes, my lord, her father is a king, the king of Naples and Jerusalem, and of such great authority in France as his alliance will confirm our peace and keep the Frenchmen in allegiance.
And so the Earl of Armagnac may do, because he is near kinsman unto Charles.
Besides, his wealth doth warrant a liberal dower, where Rainier sooner will receive than give. A dower, my lords? Disgrace not so your king, that he should be so abject, base, and poor to choose for wealth and not for perfect love. Henry is able to enrich his queen, and not to seek a queen to make him rich. So worthless peasants bargain for their wives, as marketmen for oxen, sheep, or horse. Marriage is a matter of more worth than to be dealt in by attorneyship, not whom we will, but whom his grace affects, and be companion of his nuptial bed. And therefore, Lord, since he affects her most of all these reasons bindeth us. In our opinion, she should be preferred. For what is wedlock forced but a hell, an age of discord and continual strife, whereas the contrary bringeth bliss and is a pattern of celestial peace? Whom should we match with Henry being a king, but Margaret, that is daughter to a king? Her peerless feature, joined with her birth, approves her fit for none but for a king. Her valiant courage and undaunted spirit, more than in women commonly is seen, will answer our hope and issue of a king. For Henry, son unto a conqueror, is likely to beget more conquerors, if with a lady of so high resolve as is fair Margaret he be linked in love. Then yield, my lords, and here conclude with me, that Margaret shall be queen, and none but she.
Whether it be through force of your report, my noble lord of Suffolk, or for that my tender youth was never yet attainted with any passion of inflaming love, I cannot tell. But this I am assured, I feel such sharp dissension in my breast, such fierce alarms both of hope and fear, that I am sick with working on my thoughts. Take therefore shipping, post my lord to France, agree to any covenants, and procure that Lady Margaret do vouchsafe to come to cross the seas of England, and be crowned King Henry's faithful and anointed queen. For your expenses and sufficient charge, among the people gather up a tenth. Be gone, I say, for until you do return, I rest perplexed with 1,000 cares. And you, good uncle, banish all offense. If you do censure me by what you were, not what you are, I know it will excuse the sudden execution of my will. And so conduct me where from company I may revolve and ruminate my grief.
Exit.
Aye, grief I fear me, both at first and last.
Exit Gloucester. Thus Suffolk hath prevailed, and thus he goes, as did the youthful Paris once to Greece, with hope to find the like event in love, but prosper better than the Trojan did. Margaret shall now be queen and rule the king, but I will rule both her, the king, and realm. Exit.
Ooh.
Thank you all very much. This is everything's resolved now with the French, and Suffolk's going to be in charge of everything, and so yeah, everything's going to be just fine.
And they all live happily ever after.
No.
Except there's a part 2, and then a part 3, and then you know what comes after that.
It's a franchise.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you all so much. This was a lot of fun. I know if some of you it's late, if you need to go off, that's fine, but thank you. And if you have any thoughts or comments,
It's clear from all of this that all their fighting and their caring about who's going to be king and this and that and the other, it's just a lot of nonsense. As it is today, and they were choosing kings by running off their pedigrees, and now we have.
It's all just like the Old Testament. Just let me tell you, it
Yeah.
is.
And also, and of course, the biggest warriors, of course, are Talbot and Joan, and they're just basically abandoned. You know, it's like they're the ones who do all of the work of sort of basically most of the successful fighting in this play. It's either Talbot or Joan, and that goes back and forth. And they're just like, I mean, after all of this stuff that Charles had said and all these others, and then they just dump Joan like nobody's business. And then Talbot, yeah, we could help him, yeah, but it's more fun to blame this person for not helping him than to actually help him. So, you know, that's.
But Talbot and his son debating on going or staying. I mean, honor isn't worth a pin, and neither are fighting over all these lands. Now we're fighting over oil.
And the world goes.
Who shall wear masks and who won't wear masks?
And the world goes round. There is nothing new.
That's all pointless.
Good night, everybody.
Hey, Brian, great job, Brian. Nicely done.
Everybody going to watch the news. Stay safe and well. Wear your masks.
Okay, don't get too depressed.
Good night.
I'm actually not too bad. You know.
All right, good night, folks. I'm gonna drink some wine now.
Yeah.
Oh, me too. I think I'm going to drink a beer.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely calls for some
orange juice and vodka. I have to stop and become a drunk.
Good night, Jennifer. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on Saturday as we get more stuff to actually do. The king actually has some stuff to do in part 2. So.
Okay, see you guys on Saturday. Bye-bye.
It's this young boy king so enamored of a woman he's never met.
Well, I think it's clear from the writing, which I really feel is very much Shakespeare's writing of Suffolk, that Suffolk is just so hot for her that he's able to talk about it. So he's able to get him sort of worked up. I mean, I don't know whether it's sort of like the equivalent of penthouse letters or whatever, but he's captured his imagination, because that's the thing, is that it's again, which we don't get as much in the reading, is like how the younger people don't listen to their older advisors. And so that Suffolk and Somerset are young, and they're sort of saying, yeah, this is what, and so Henry just, I mean, listens to them a little bit more than Gloucester, and lets all this stuff go on between Gloucester and Winchester, which is really, I mean, I just like to think of it in terms of the way of people who say that Shakespeare was secretly a Catholic, that the way he portrays like pretty much all of the Catholics and things is not great. But of course, they had to portray it that way because, that was
Joan was not portrayed very nicely.
It's it's from an English point of view. I mean, I think for an English point of view on Joan, I mean, I think she is a great character. I think she's got some great stuff. What do you think, Julie?
But then she also denigrates her own people when she says, "Done like a Frenchman, turn and turn again."
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you think about? I mean, it seems to me that's really she understands the French character. Sorry.
Well, that also
Shakespeare put those words in her mouth.
Right. That also gives him more anti-Catholic propaganda, because all the Catholics love Joan, of course.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
And so he can just poke holes in her because he can.
Yes.
It's like the congressman today calling that other congressman a disgusting and a bitch.
Yeah, her YouTube, her 10-minute thing in the house on YouTube. I watched. It's really great. I didn't see what he'd said as a thing, but she's just so she's such a great speaker, and really just nails it so well.
Yeah.
And saying that it's about treating women with respect. And I mean, you have daughters. You have daughters who are older than me. You have a wife. Why would you think that it is all right to say something like that to a woman? You know, it's just so that I thought that was interesting, and it's important, and it's also that it just goes to show, as with Joan, that that women, because it's a patriarchy, that when women stand out, they're get it from all sides. So,
And Shakespeare was as misogynistic as any other writer.
well, we're all entitled to our opinions of that. I mean, I think he was more anti-French than anti-woman, actually. If they come right down to it.
And he,
Why should her sex life be a matter of discussion?
well, that was the commodity back then.
Hmm.
The virgins were the commodity. But if you think he hated the French and he hated women, then he must have really hated French women.
Yeah. All right. I'm still live on YouTube, so I guess I should stop the live stream unless.
Okay.